Welcome to the Stochastic NBA Deeper Dive. I'm your host, Neil Orfield. You can find me on Twitter at PlayerQDFS. This show is produced by Jordan Klein. You can find him on Twitter at Jordan Klein. And we are here with Adam Scherer. You can find him on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. This show is sponsored by Prize Picks, which offers daily prop-based contests. While you're coming in, please do like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification button so you can get alerts when our shows go live. Adam, we got a nice little 8-game slate here. I know I watched your show this morning with Lofty. It was a good show, but I feel like a lot has changed since then. How do you feel about this slate?
Yeah, quite a bit's changed. I think we are pretty firmly into late season, March, April basketball now, where even though it's an 8-game slate, it feels smaller than 8 games because you just have several teams missing multiple players, and it makes it so full strength teams, like, you can get to a player here and there in your larger field tournaments. But as far as who you're prioritizing, there's just teams that are basically write-offs because if you're healthy, you're just not going to be that appealing of a team. And that's probably how most slates are going to be from here through the rest of the year because that's just how this time of year goes.
I meant to ask you before we got into this slate, though. How did yesterday go for you?
Poorly.
Poorly for me too. I think the key appeared to be just saving spots for that late game, which of course yesterday was the rare day that I didn't save anything for, or I saved very little, and I had 20% De'Aaron Fox or something. And of course he got ruled out, but it felt like you needed a lot of pieces from that game. Was that also kind of your issue?
I had a good amount of the late game. I just still didn't get there. I got 15th in the big tournament on the night slate that Steve Buzzard won. But nice. Other than that, nothing that really came out well.
I did not see that Steve Buzzard won that slate. But yeah, it's 15th is kind of great for some steak knives, not great for winning a lot of money. So that's a little bit unfortunate. All right. So we did a little bit of intro for the slate. Again, it's 8 games, tons of value. We already have, Giannis and Jrue Holiday ruled out. Everybody on the Pistons team is ruled out. Now they're just calling in guys from the streets to play, I think, tonight. We've got value across the board here, but we will go game by game on this show. And then the next show, they will, go over any kind of breaking news, answer questions for you. We'll start here with the Milwaukee at Orlando game. Again, no Giannis, no Jrue Holiday. We just got the news that Wendell Carter Jr. out for the Magic. I have not even looked at how the projections have changed for Mo Wagner since then, or whoever else is going to be affected by that news. But we'll start with the Milwaukee side of the game. Adam, who's making it into your player pool, and who are your priorities there?
Yeah, so Milwaukee certainly looks better now than they did this morning. We knew that Jrue Holiday was questionable this morning. We did not have anything on Giannis, but now you have both of those guys out. So you have quite a bit of ownership now coming into Milwaukee in a good matchup against Orlando. You have Javon Carter at 3,700. There are going to be a lot of value plays in general and also guard value plays today, but Javon Carter is certainly one of them, likely to move into the starting lineup in place of Holiday. He's 3,700, pulling 46% ownership on DraftKings, only about a 26% chance of being optimal. So clearly a good play, but probably going a little bit over-owned, again, just because there are so many other good plays on this slate as well. You have about 29% ownership coming into Bobby Portis at 6,300. He is a good guess at who will start in place of Giannis. Obviously, we haven't seen that confirmed yet, but if he's in the starting lineup, we know he's a good point per minute guy, and he can take on some of that usage vacated by Holiday and Giannis. Chris Middleton, 6,400, wasn't very appealing this morning, even though he's been very good on a point per minute basis. I think he's certainly more appealing now because every minute he plays is obviously going to be without Holiday and without Giannis. The reason his production's been so good so far this year is that he's playing every minute that Giannis isn't in the game, but then he's still getting some overlap with Giannis, whereas that's not going to exist today. I do still expect him to be on a minutes limit where he's playing, 27 minutes or so. So at 6,400, that is a concern just because realistically, you can only do so much in 26, 27 minutes, but it does make him look like a pretty good play now that those two are both out, whereas this morning he wasn't that appealing. Brook Lopez looks marginally better, but I think Bobby Portis is who you would get to first there. But it really opens up a lot for Milwaukee.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I feel like Chris Middleton is one of the tougher calls on the slate. Do you think there's any chance that they run him out more, like 32 minutes, something, way above what he's playing? It seems unlikely, but
if he starts, I could see it. It seems illogical to me for them to do it here. Right. So for one, we've seen them be very cautious with him. He's been on some sort of a minutes restriction for a while now, and Milwaukee has no real reason to push it and ramp him up. But also when you have a game against the Magic where you're sitting Drew and Giannis, it just seems like illogical to me to be like, oh yeah, this is the game we're going to just turn Chris Middleton loose. On the one hand, it would make sense in that you theoretically need him out there more, but I also just have a hard time thinking they really care about a random game in March against the Magic. Like, I don't think that they clearly have a plan in place for Chris Middleton. And I don't think the Bucks are short-sighted enough to be like, oh, we have this plan and he was going to play 27, 28 minutes tonight, but since Giannis is sick, he's going to play 32 or 33. Like, I don't think that's how they approach this. So, I mean, never say never, I guess. And if he does start, then I would feel better about his minutes, but I assume you're getting a similar minutes limit.
Yeah, I guess my hope if I'm playing Chris Middleton is just that it ends up being a close game, and they really do. I mean, they still do want to win. They're only one game up on, or two games up on the Celtics, I guess. So they seem to kind of throw in the game, but I'm like, maybe if they're close enough, they'll say, hey, let's keep Middleton out there. He's going to be one of their best players, out there tonight. So maybe there's some chance, but yeah, I'm with you that it's definitely very unlikely. We've got him projected for 28 minutes on the site, which sounds like that's kind of on the high end of what you're expecting, like 27, 28. He played 27 last time out.
28 I expect that like 26 to 28 minute range. We only have 54 minutes this year as well, where Giannis and Drew, neither one were on the floor, and Middleton was out there. Has a 40% usage rate and a 40% assist percentage. So take that for what it's worth. But every minute he's on the floor, it should just be the Chris Middleton show. It's just a matter of, how many minutes does he end up getting?
Right. And it kind of, it's sort of been the Chris Middleton show anyway recently, because he's been playing so many minutes without the starters. But yeah, it's an interesting spot. All right. So your priority here would be Bobby Portis. Would you call Bobby Portis a priority for you?
Sort of. Like, I think he's a really good play. On a lot of slates, I'd call him a priority. Here, I think he's just more of like a good play, not necessarily somebody that I'm just like jamming in everywhere. But he has played 363 minutes this year without Giannis or Drew, 1.18 DraftKings points per minute, a 25% usage rate, 20% rebounding percentage. So certainly looks good. And that is going under the assumption that he starts. If he comes off the bench, he still has a high ceiling because he could easily be in the closing lineup, but you can't feel as good about his minutes if he's not starting.
Right. And I can't see anybody else. Like, I was trying to think of who else might start instead of Javon Carter at point guard. I don't really see anybody else that I think would likely be the starter there in place of Drew Holiday. How confident are you that Javon Carter is going to get this start? And I guess the question I'm getting to is, would you still be interested in Javon Carter if he is not in the starting lineup?
If he's not starting, he certainly moves pretty far down the list. Like, he'd still be playable because there's going to be minutes there, but certainly feel a lot better about those minutes if he starts. And one nice thing too is that, so like, I'm assuming Middleton doesn't start. My guess at the starting lineup is Carter, Allen, Connaughton, Portis, and Lopez. If that's the case, you're actually getting Carter in a situation where you would expect him to be pretty productive. He's actually averaged a fantasy point per minute this year without Giannis or Holiday on the floor. And if he's going to, as I'm expecting, if he's going to get a chunk of minutes where Middleton's not out there either, he actually can be a productive fantasy option. So if he's starting, I think he's a good value. If he comes off the bench, he still has a path to getting there, but he certainly becomes a lot riskier.
Okay. Anything else that you want to say about the Bucks before we move on to the Magic side?
Nope.
All right. Well, the Magic side, as I alluded to earlier, Wendell Carter Jr. Inactive. We already had Jonathan Isaac out for, I think he's out for the season. So we losing Wendell Carter just means we got some value opening up for. We have Moritz Wagner as one of the best value plays on the slate at this point. But Adam, tell me about your level of interest in these Magic players, any priorities for you, and who's making it into your player pool.
Yeah, it scares me, but no Gary Harris and no Wendell Carter Jr. certainly opens up value here. Mo Wagner, 3,900, coming off of a game that he played 33 minutes last time out. There's less foul risk now as well. There is still foul risk, obviously, there always is, but less foul risk for him without Giannis. That was, a concern I had this morning where it felt like I was going to play a lot of Wagner in this situation and then just get burned because Giannis just runs him over. But that's, not as big a concern now. And Wagner's a good point per minute guy. So the only real negative is that he is center only on a slate where there are a lot of good center plays and you do have a lot of opportunity costs there, but projections a very good value. Right now we have him projected for 33.3 DraftKings points at 3,900. Like that's certainly going to get him into a lot of lineups. Jalen Suggs started in place of Gary Harris last game. He played about 35 minutes. We have him projected for 26.5 DraftKings points at 4,200. Cole Anthony off the bench played about 24 minutes last game. Typically you're getting anywhere between like 24 and 30 minutes from him. He projects well at 4,400 as well. So all three of those guys look good. Then you sort of, I think, take a step back and it just, becomes in tournaments. If you get to some Fultz or some Banchero as contrarian plays, that's fine. But I think the priorities here are Mo Wagner, Suggs, and Cole Anthony, with Mo Wagner probably being the biggest priority.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like we don't have an ownership update yet, at least as far as my last refresh. We have the projections updated, but we're still showing Mo Wagner for sub 1% ownership, Jalen Suggs at 2%. I would imagine that those numbers are going to come up because we do have like 6.3x value on Jalen Suggs, 8.5 on Wagner, and 6.5 on Cole Anthony. So those three just look like kind of smashed value plays, and I imagine the field will react as such. We'll probably get an ownership update here pretty soon. Outside of those guys, you think you'll play any Markelle Fultz here?
Maybe a little bit, like if you're playing 150 lineups, which I'm not. Like there is some increased usage potentially without Carter, but Mo Wagner, he's not a zero usage guy. So it's not a huge drop off there. Fultz at that price tag still has a ceiling. The problem you're going to run into though is just you have so much value on the slate in general, and then also so many good guard plays that these sort of correctly priced guys like Markelle Fultz just are going to be tough to prioritize when you can pretty easily just like drop him to a cheaper guy and then upgrade somewhere else in your lineup.
Right. And would you say the same thing about Paolo Banchero?
Yeah, same thing about Banchero, same thing about Franz. They don't see enough of a bump because Gary Harris is not a high usage guy at all. So like he has no effect on anything other than opening up more minutes for Jalen Suggs. And then, Carter, there's an effect there, but it's not big enough, I don't think, to really make any of these mid-range pieces look that much better because you still have Franz Wagner competing with Fultz and competing with Banchero for usage. It's not like you're in a situation where there's only two high usage guys on the team and one of them is out. You still have three guys that are going to play a pretty big role offensively. So it's the two guys in particular that got ruled out. I think the biggest impact is mostly just on the players that are replacing them in the starting lineup.
Right. And that makes sense. And yeah, we have some assumptions here about who's going to be in the starting lineup. Obviously, things can change. We could be surprised. Maybe they switch up the starting lineup tonight, but that's something they'll have to cover in live before lock because we won't know probably during the show. Anything else you want to say about this game before we move on to talk about your Wizards?
No, I just started running a crunch on Fantasy Cruncher just to kind of see how things are showing up right now. And Mo Wagner showing up a ton for me, around like 40% of the time. And then the next highest guy from this team is, Anthony and Suggs, both around like 12, 13%. So that's pretty much what I was expecting. Mo Wagner would look like the clear top guy, and then you would be getting Suggs and Anthony as good plays also.
Okay. Let's move on and talk about your Washington Wizards. At Detroit, Washington favored by 10 in this game. Just goes to show how many people are out for Detroit. But we'll start on the Wizards side of the ball. Any priorities for you for the Wizards, and who's making it into your player pool here?
No priorities right now for Washington. We are still waiting on Kyle Kuzma news, and that does have a pretty big impact here. Bradley Beal, it's only been 5 or 6 games this year, but in the games that Kuzma's been out and Beal and Porzingis have both been in, you've seen Beal's usage rate go from like 27 to 28% when both guys are in to 35% with Kuzma out. So you're really seeing him take on a much, much bigger role. Granted, small sample size, but 5 or 6 full games, you've seen him take on a much bigger role without Kuzma. So if Kuzma's in, I think it's just a situation where like any of Porzingis, DeLon Wright, Beal, Kuzma himself are perfectly fine secondary contrarian plays. Nobody on this team's pulling more than 10% ownership on DraftKings, and that's Porzingis. It is a good spot. You do still have the situation where, any of those guys certainly can put up a massive game, but there's nothing I'd really prioritize. If Kuzma's out, you are getting that bump for Beal. You're getting Porzingis with a little bit of a bump as well. Denny Avdia's minutes look better. He still came off the bench last game. They started Anthony Gill for whatever reason. But Avdia still came off the bench. He closed. He played 31 minutes. He's 4,600. He's not going to look like a great play no matter what, but he would certainly look better if Kuzma's out. And that's pretty much how I view this team. Like Porzingis, Wright, Beal in particular, and Kuzma if he's in, are fine. But then if Kuzma's out, Beal looks better, Porzingis looks better, Avdija looks better.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. We do have, 5.5x value on Avdija. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything incredible, but sort of interesting at 5.6% ownership. I imagine the ownership will come out if we get that bump from Kuzma, if Kuzma is ultimately ruled out too. But that's, I guess just a situation we'll have to monitor. Anything else you want to say about the Wizards before we move on to possibly the most interesting team on the slate?
No, I wish I had more to say because I really don't want to talk about the Pistons.
You really don't want to talk about the Pistons. Well, I'm guessing people want to hear about the Pistons because it is a bit complicated here. We've got major chalk on Marvin Bagley. We've got Corey Joseph coming in at 23%. I guess outside of those two, we don't have any like real chalk here. Jaden Ivey at 16.5%. Nobody coming in at too crazy ownership outside of the 52% Marvin Bagley, who of course disappointed us all last night. He was in a majority of my lineups. I think he was in a majority of like every good DFS players lineups for the most part, most people's lineups, and he let us all down. So that was unfortunate, but we can go right back there again tonight at 52% ownership. But I'll let you cover. What do you want to say about these Pistons? Who are the priorities for you? Who's making it into your lineup?
Yeah, so Bagley is the clear top guy here. He disappointed yesterday, like you said. He played horribly, but he still played 35 minutes. Like, there's no takeaway that you should have from yesterday's game other than sometimes shit happens and good plays don't perform. There's nothing you can do about that. Like, if you just start going into every slate, and you see people do this in chat all the time, and you just decide that every single player that's popular is a bad play, like you're not doing yourself any favors. He was extremely popular yesterday for good reason. Nothing unexpected happened in that game other than he played poorly. He played 30. He ended up finishing at 36. Yeah, 36.3 minutes. There was nothing like if you know how much he played, you're still playing him in like every lineup yesterday. So going right back to him here today, the only real difference today is that there is a ton of other value. So it makes him look a little bit worse relatively, but still a 33% chance of being optimal, 52% projected ownership right now. Clearly one of the top plays on the slate. He's a good point per minute guy. He's at 1.1 DraftKings points per minute this season. The playing time should be there. It's not like it's a bad matchup either. I don't have anything negative to say about Bagley. Yeah, he is more expensive on FanDuel. On FanDuel, he is fine, but clearly not the same level of priority he is on DraftKings. He's still pulling 19% ownership on FanDuel. Like, don't look at that gap in salary and say like, oh, Bagley's way overpriced on FanDuel, because keep in mind he's one of the most mispriced guys on the slate on DraftKings. So still a good play on FanDuel, but not the same level of like, I have no idea how to get away from him that he is on DraftKings.
Yeah, see, Ryan Rienebaum in chat was just asking if you can play Bagley at 7K on FanDuel. I think you just explained it pretty well. He's playable. He's not the priority that he is on DraftKings. I'd say that pretty much covers it. We've got him projected for 35 DK points. I'm not sure what he would be on FanDuel. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I imagine it's not too far off, which at 7,000, that's a playable kind of number. What about, so I really want to ask you about Corey Joseph, because Corey Joseph, usually a guy that when he's chalky, I want to jump off the Corey Joseph train, but we've got him projected for 29.5 minutes here. We've got him at 23% ownership. So like a little bit chalky, but it's not like 50, 60%. What are you doing with Corey Joseph? Like, what's your level of interest there?
He looks like a good value. He's scary to roster because he's not a great point per minute guy. He's played 405 minutes this year without any of Cunningham, Bogdanovich, or Hayes on the floor. He's at 0.77 DraftKings points per minute. And typically you kind of have to worry about his playing time because there's so many ways the Pistons can go, but that's not as big of a concern tonight. Assuming Corey Joseph starts, he's likely to give you big minutes. He played off the bench last game, 31.5 minutes. He closed both halves in that game. But then here you also don't have Alec Burks and you also don't have Amadou Diallo in addition to the other guys that were out. Rodney McGruder is back, but I assume Joseph's going to start. And if he does, I think he's likely giving you around 30 minutes and looking like a very strong point per dollar value.
Yeah, we've got him at over 26 fantasy point projection tonight. I think under the assumption that he is starting. But the other place I like to look, so I like to hear your opinion on this kind of thing. But I'm looking at the boom bust tool, and he actually looks like we've got some positive leverage. We currently, I guess, have him projected for 25% ownership based on my last refresh, with a 61% chance of booming and a 29% chance of being optimal. So a little bit of positive leverage on Corey Joseph. So I will put my biases aside and play him a bit tonight.
I will say that I'm lower on him in terms of optimal percentage. Okay. I think he's a good play, but I'm more in line with the ownership.
Okay. Yeah. And that, That's kind of more what I was thinking too. I was kind of surprised to see how high the optimal percentage was. You talked about Jaden Ivey a good bit yesterday, and you kind of convinced me when I was listening to your show. I forget what the reasoning was, but I remember listening to it and thinking that sounds like a great fantasy play. And then, of course, he put up 42 fantasy points. So was glad you kind of talked me into Jaden Ivey. Can you talk a little bit about what you like, if you like Jaden Ivey tonight?
Yeah, it's the same reasons I liked him yesterday. And I'll start by saying, like, it's going to be tough to just jam him into a bunch of lineups because you have all of these other good guards. They start to kind of just like cancel each other out. But the reason I really like Ivy in these spots is that without Cunningham, Boyan, Hayes, you're getting him in a situation where he needs to be the highest usage guy and also probably lead the team in terms of assist opportunities. 35.8% assist percentage, 30% usage rate in 209 minutes without those three on the floor this year. And he's averaged 1.06 DraftKings points per minute in that stretch. And, at first glance, it's kind of like, all right, it's a little over a fantasy point per minute. He's 5,800. It's fine, but nothing really stands out. But what really stands out to me there is that he's averaging over a fantasy point per minute on 44.6% true shooting. And there's no reason to think that Jaden Ivey's suddenly going to be efficient today, but it speaks to how high the ceiling is because he's averaging over a fantasy point per minute while shooting about as poorly as any NBA player can shoot, and still stay in a rotation. So he's going to have some games where he just shoots better than normal. And the opportunity is just so high for him when you're talking about a 30% usage rate and north of a 30% assist percentage. It's kind of like, I always like it when I look at guys, and we've talked about Killian Hayes in the same sense before, where he's like, a 40% shooting guy under a lot of conditions. And it actually makes me like them more in DFS because it's kind of just giving you like, this guy averages over a fantasy point per minute, even though he can't shoot for shit.
Right.
But he's going to take a bunch of shots. And when they fall, you're just going to get a massive game. And when they don't fall, you're still going to get a good enough game. So it makes me really like the ceiling on Jaden Ivey.
Yeah, that's the exact analysis that I was talking about from yesterday. I couldn't remember what it was exactly, what the reasoning was, but yeah, it sounds great. Again, that sounds like exactly the kind of player that I love to play. If he's going to have, that kind of gives him a high floor if he's doing it without scoring. And we know that he can have big games where he just shoots a little bit better than usual. Looks like a great play to me. So I like that kind of analysis. I also want to point out James Wiseman, one of the better he's 5.7x value, only projected for 6% ownership. That is kind of interesting to me to see Marvin Bagley at 52% ownership at 5,500, James Wiseman's 5,300 at 6% ownership. I guess he is only center eligible, so that's kind of a knock against him. But how much interest do you have in James Wiseman?
So the center eligibility is, one very good reason why he's getting less ownership than Bagley. But I do think that gap is too big. And one thing that stands out from yesterday, so you ended up getting 24 minutes from Wiseman. You got 36 from Bagley. Wiseman fouled out of that game. And you had Wiseman sub out with his third foul in the second quarter. So Bagley came back in and closed there. And then same thing at the end of the game. I don't know what the closing lineup actually would have been. Like the closing lineup in the first half ended up being Ivy, Burks, Joseph, Bagley, Livers. I think there's a good chance if Wiseman doesn't get in that foul trouble that you see like Marvin Bagley instead of Corey Joseph there. And so I'm not saying that it necessarily would have taken a bunch of minutes off of Bagley, but I do think Bagley benefited a little bit yesterday from the foul trouble to Wiseman. And similarly, Wiseman lost some minutes. I think there's a very good chance that you get something like 32 to 34 minutes from Bagley and like 28 from Wiseman if these guys avoid foul trouble, which does make me think that Wiseman may be going a little bit overlooked here. But certainly the opportunity cost on him much higher than it is for Marvin Bagley because this is a good center slate. You did get Mo Wagner as a value piece now, in addition to plenty of other good centers that we're going to talk about.
Right. So before we move on to the next game, I just want to touch on one comment from chat, which is that Marvin Bagley has his negative 19.6 leverage score right now. And I didn't see who it was, but somebody in chat was asking, why is that on Marvin Bagley? Why does he have such a negative leverage score here with the 52% ownership, 33% chance of being optimal? It is kind of surprising to see how much negative leverage there is. I imagine it's just because we have so much value on the slate that he doesn't end up in the optimal as much because there are so many other strong options. So he just doesn't, do as well as we're expecting. Do you have any other reasoning there, Adam?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll also say that I have a higher optimal percentage on him. So it's another spot where I'm a lot closer to the ownership. But yeah, I think it's just that there is so much value, but it also goes back to something that I know you've mentioned before as well. You're pretty much never making the optimal lineup in NBA. This isn't MMA. You're not the winning lineup. Like nobody's playing the optimal. So looking at boom percentage is pretty useful as well, where, we have him with about a 44% chance of being 5x plus 10 or whatever it happens to be for this slate, somewhere in that ballpark. So that's why you're seeing the gap between ownership and optimal, is just that in terms of like the true optimal, there's a lot of ways this slate can break where Marvin Bagley has a good game, but he's not in the actual nut lineup. But for like practical purposes, when you're making tournament lineups, if Marvin Bagley has that big game, like if Marvin Bagley goes for, so he's 5,500, let's say Bagley goes for like 40 DraftKings points, right? You're perfectly fine having Marvin Bagley, but there's a percentage of the time that he goes for 40 DraftKings points where he's still not quote unquote optimal, even though he's very clearly somebody you're happy you played.
Yep, exactly. That's a great explanation. Anything else that you want to say about this game before we move on to the next one?
If you want to go dumpster diving for other pieces in large field tournaments, like RJ Hampton at 3K, not a great fantasy guy, but like if Corey Joseph plays fewer minutes than expected, RJ Hampton probably is the beneficiary of that. So that's a spot where like you could maybe get some leverage on Corey Joseph if you wanted to. I think you can play them together. I'm not saying like you have to set a rule that it's max one, but like RJ Hampton right now pulling 8% ownership, Joseph pulling 23, because everybody's just kind of assuming Corey Joseph is going to play the bulk of the minutes, but that can obviously be wrong, in which case it probably benefits Hampton. I don't see a lot of other routes I want to go like to get creative. Isaiah Livers, 3,400, probably plays a lot. He's pulling 11.5% ownership, but he is god awful from a fantasy standpoint. So like if you want to just, hope to get lucky, sure, but nothing too exciting there. Then, the last guys on the bench basically are Omar Rui, Jared Roden, and Buddy Boeheim. I have no idea how you would play those guys unless maybe like one of them starts, but I don't expect them to. So I think Hampton, probably the one guy that you look to that it's like, maybe like when the slate's over, you look back and go like, oh damn, like I wish I had more Hampton because that rotation didn't play out quite like I thought it would.
Would you consider Rodney Magruder if he makes the starting lineup?
Probably not on this slate, just not a good point per minute guy. He's not somebody that you expect to take on a big role offensively. He's not going to create for himself. He's out there basically just to knock down open threes. And at 3,200, he can certainly pay that off as a starter, but I'm more interested in guys that can create a little bit, do some other things other than, just knock down open shots, because this is a slate that does have plenty of value.
Yep, absolutely. All right, guys, we did get the Magic lineup. It is, I think, as expected, Fultz, Suggs, Franz Wagner, Banchero, and Mo Wagner, the starters for the Magic. So no surprises there. We can move on to talk about the next game. But first, let me tell you about an offer that we have from BetMGM. I love this offer because it comes with a month of Stochastic Plus Platinum for free. I've said it before. The first thing I did, the first time I won six figures in DFS, immediately that night, maybe the next morning, I signed up for all of the tools at Osmo, which is, those are the stochastic tools now. And the tools are even better than they were back in 2019 when I signed up. So anytime you can sign up for a deal and part of it comes with these stochastic tools, I think it's a great deal. This deal from BetMGM, you get 1 month of Stochastic Plus Platinum for free. You also get your first bet on BetMGM covered up to $1,000 in first bet insurance when you sign up, make a deposit, and make your first paid wager. So that means, obviously, if your bet wins, you win the money that comes associated with the bet. If your bet loses, though, you also get bet insurance from your first bet back. So you get the same amount of money back in first bet insurance to make more bets on the site. It's a pretty fantastic offer. Click the link below or use promo code PLATINUMSUB to sign up. I should note the legal age for gambling in most states is 21 plus. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. We also have a different offer in Massachusetts. Massachusetts pre-registration is live. This is a different offer. There's no link to join, but note that pre-registration is available, and we have $200 in bonus bets with early sign up in Massachusetts. No deposit required. Users who sign up for this offer will not be eligible for the welcome offer once Massachusetts is officially live on March 10th. So worth noting there. But I think this is just a great offer from BetMGM. Would recommend signing up, and you can do so with as little as $10, as many as $1,000 for that first bet insurance. All right, Adam, let's move on to the next game on the slate, which is Charlotte at New York. We'll start with the Charlotte side of the game. No LaMelo Ball, obviously. This has been a team that has had some value opening up recently with LaMelo out. Anybody that you like to any priorities, and who's making it into your player pool?
Yeah, no real priorities today just because we have seen prices adjust since LaMelo went down. So it's a team, and it's not a very appealing matchup either, but it's a team where, if you want to use Kelly Oubre or Terry Rozier or Mark Williams as differentiation pieces in tournaments, that's perfectly fine. Like, these guys still have very high ceilings, but they're just priced pretty much in line with where they project. And on a slate like this, where you have a lot of teams that are shorthanded and prices haven't adjusted, it just pushes these guys down the list a bit. So Kelly Oubre is pulling the most ownership just because he has shooting guard and small forward eligibility. He should play big minutes. Again, he can go for 50 plus, in which case it doesn't matter that his salary is in line with his median projection. You're still, going to be happy you have him. It's just that there's not a ton of value that's going to like push him into lineups like these other guys. So any of Oubre, Rozier, Williams, even Hayward, I think, or Washington, really any of the starters are fine in tournaments. They're just not guys that are going to stand out. They're not going to be very easy to get into lineups, but they're perfectly fine in terms of like, I have 6 popular guys in this lineup. Let me throw in Mark Williams and hope that he has a big game.
Right. And I think that's kind of all that really needs to be said about Charlotte, right? Like, it's just not that interesting of a team. These guys are playable, but nobody's like a real standout on the team. Should we move on to the next, or do you have anything else you want to say about the Hornets?
I have nothing else about the Hornets.
Okay, perfect. I mean, so the Knicks look really interesting. Mitchell Robinson looks like a pretty solid value. He's been playing huge minutes recently for Tibbs. Not a shock there, I guess. We do have Jalen Brunson questionable, so a lot is going to ride on whether Jalen Brunson ultimately is able to play. So I'll start with if Jalen Brunson is in. So let's make the assumption that Jalen Brunson is in. Any priorities for who's making it into your lineup, and who are the priorities, if anybody, from the Knicks if Jalen Brunson is in?
Yeah, so if Brunson's in, there's no true priorities here, I don't think, but it is still a pretty good team to target as, contrarian pieces in tournaments. It's a very favorable matchup against Charlotte. You have a $4,900 Mitchell Robinson frequently playing north of 30 minutes. He was getting tons of ownership this morning. That's come down just because of Wendell Carter being ruled out, but it doesn't make Robinson a worse play. It just makes him harder to get to relative to Mo Wagner, but lowering the ownership there just gives you a little bit of added benefit in tournaments, if you get to him, because he does still have a very high ceiling here against Charlotte. Similarly, Julius Randle at 9,900 has a high ceiling. Jalen Brunson, if he's in at 8,400, has a high ceiling. RJ Barrett, I'd be a little hesitant with if Brunson's in. We have seen Barrett's playing time come down to earth because Josh Hart is playing a sizable role here, and even with Brunson in, Quickly's getting plenty of minutes off the bench, so you haven't been seeing those big minute games from Barrett with Brunson in, but you would still certainly be able to play these guys in tournament lineups. You just wouldn't have one guy that stands out as like a top play on the slate like you will if Brunson sits.
Yep, that makes sense. People in chat are very concerned that we're going too slow. Guys, don't worry. I'm monitoring it. I'm on top of the situation. We had to get through the Pistons, most interesting team on the slate, but we will pick it up. But first, I do have to get back to this Pistons real quick. Robert Holman asks, this question for you, Adam. Would you set a group of no more than 2 of Ivy, Joseph, or Hampton for the Pistons?
Probably not, but I don't think I will get it that much. Like, Ivy is a good play, but he doesn't project as, one of the best point per dollar plays. Hampton is even, behind that. So I don't think it's very likely they show up for me anyway. If you want to set that rule, it's fine. Like, I don't think you're missing out on anything. I just doubt I'm going to end up with lineups that have all 3 of them anyway.
Yep. I think that's a fair response. And that's, me too. I don't think I would set the rule, but probably not going to end up with it. All right. So then let's cover. So we covered what you do if Jalen Brunson is in. What if Jalen Brunson is ultimately ruled out?
If Jalen Brunson's ruled out, then this slate just gets even crazier because now you have a 5K point guard, shooting guard, Emmanuel Quickly, most likely getting the start after he played 45 minutes in regulation last game, 55 minutes total. I pulled up the 5 games that he has started without Jalen Brunson and with Julius Randle this season on the strategy show this morning. Obviously more than one overtime game, but 51 minutes, 43, 40, 37, and 55 in the 5 games that he has started at 5K against Charlotte. Like, the guy is just going to be one of the best plays on the slate. He's going to be, in that same category with Tyus Jones later on, with Marvin Bagley. So he would be someone where if Brunson's out, Quickly is going to become one of the best plays, but it is also going to have an effect on some of these other players we've already talked about. Like, Jaden Ivey will still be a good play, but not as good relative to the slate. Same goes for Corey Joseph. Same goes for Javon Carter. Same goes for Suggs and Cole Anthony. Like all of these guys take a step back if Jalen Brunson is out because Emmanuel quickly becomes that level of priority. Also, if Brunson's out, Randall's going to look better because you're just going to get a bigger offensive workload for him. But RJ Barrett also is going to look better at 5,300 because then you're going to be back into RJ Barrett most likely playing a lot of minutes. We saw him play 40 in regulation last game. And the reason is just that with the normal Knicks rotation, you have Brunson playing, his normal starters minutes, and then you have Quickly playing mid to upper 20s. You have Hart playing mid to upper 20s. That only leaves so many minutes for RJ Barrett. If Quickly is taking all of the Brunson minutes, then the Quickly minutes can be funneled back out, partly to like Miles McBride, but also partly to RJ Barrett. And you can get back to those upper 30s minutes games from Barrett, which at 5,300 looks great. So pretty big impact on RJ Barrett if Brunson's out as well. If you wanted to take that same logic and apply it to Josh Hart, you certainly could. I would go to Barrett before Hart, but 4,800 Hart, shooting guard, small forward, played about 30 minutes in regulation last game. There is increased playing time for him as well, most likely if Jalen Brunson is out.
Yep. That's perfect. So, and I think we'll probably get this news during the next show, so they can cover whichever way it goes. They'll give us a recap of what to do in this game. But I think that's a very good explanation. Anything else that you want to say about this game before we move on?
No.
Perfect. Well, then let's move on and talk about my Minnesota Timberwolves hosting the Sixers. We'll start with the Sixers side of the game. I'm kind of surprised to see the Timberwolves are actually favored here. I know it's a home game, but I'm still kind of surprised to see it. We will start with the Sixers side of the game, though. We do have James Harden questionable, Tobias Harris, I believe, questionable once again. PJ Tucker, I would guess, also questionable. I see the also questionable. So we have three questionable players for the Sixers. Obviously, Harden being the most impactful, but Tobias Harris, that matters. That really, they all matter to some extent. Let's start with, if everybody's healthy, anybody you like, or you can go over both situations right away if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, if everybody's healthy, then it's pretty easy. It's just your normal status quo with the Sixers. Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, James Harden all look good. Everybody else pretty much looks like garbage. Maxey just playing a ton of minutes as a starter right now. He's 5,800. We certainly don't need more guards in this price range, but we're going to get them, and Maxey's one of them. On a lot of slates, he'd be really popular. Here, he's projected for about 11%. That probably comes down even more if Jalen Brunson's ruled out, but certainly a perfectly fine play. Embiid and Harden, both, two of the higher projected guys on the slate, Embiid in particular, but Harden at 10-2 certainly gives you a nice ceiling as well. And you are getting a slate where just sort of by default, you're going to probably end up with some sort of stars and scrubs build. There's a lot of guys in this 10K plus range. There's a ton of value. It's just going to be easy to land on guys like Embiid and Harden. So none of them stand out in terms of like the best play on the slate or anything. Like, for example, I think Anthony Davis is the best pay up center. So I don't think Embiid's the best, but I think he's really good. If guys get ruled out, then it obviously starts to change. If James Harden is out, you're getting more production from Maxey, more production from Embiid. They would both look quite a bit better. But then also Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker, even though they're afterthoughts from a fantasy standpoint, they do open some stuff up because you most likely are getting DeAnthony Melton in the starting lineup if one of them's out. And then if they're both out, you're probably getting Jalen McDaniels as well. Jalen McDaniels is only $3,100 after playing 30 minutes yesterday. We have tons of value on this slate. We don't have a ton of Ford value right now. So Jalen McDaniels would stand out at 3,100 if he's starting. He's not a bad point per minute guy. He's not great, but around 0.75, 0.8 fantasy points per minute, I believe, for McDaniels, probably playing around 30 minutes. Now, there is some risk. If you look at the rotations yesterday, George Niang barely played in that game. Niang played like 11 minutes while McDaniels played 30. So I think it's fair to say, to assume that McDaniels is just clearly ahead of Niang in the rotation. And Daniel House did play 18 minutes. So it's not like they went that condensed. But like there is some chance that, McDaniels starts, Niang gets hot off the bench, and suddenly you're getting 22 to 24 minutes from McDaniels instead. But on average, I'd expect you're getting that 28 to 30 minute range at 3,100, which would make him look like a really good value piece.
He was also in some foul trouble yesterday, so there might be even room for more.
That's
probably
good
not, but he was in some foul trouble yesterday. So, and I was kind of surprised to see the price come down from 39. I guess they put the slate out before they had the results, but it came down. Jalen McDaniels from $3,900 yesterday to $3,100 today. Yeah, I liked him yesterday on that slate. I would like him once again if he is starting. All right, anything else you want to say about the Sixers before we move on to my Timberwolves?
No.
Okay, Timberwolves will be without Karl Anthony Towns still. Jalen Noel out once again tonight. Austin Rivers likely to miss the game. I think he is questionable currently. Nobody all that impactful. I guess he's probable. So Austin Rivers probably in for this one. Obviously, Cat impactful, but he's been out for forever. So as expected, anybody that is a priority for you on the Timberwolves at all, and who do you think will be in your player pool, if anyone?
No, I think this is one of the less appealing teams. Because they're essentially healthy. Obviously they're missing Karl Anthony Towns, but that's been the case for a very long time. So prices have clearly adjusted for that. And there's nothing that just really stands out. Kyle Anderson is pulling double-digit ownership right now. That just speaks to the forward positions being relatively weak. You are getting plenty of playing time from Kyle Anderson, but there's nothing special there. He's just going to fall into some lineups here and there. I like the idea of Rudy Gobert at 7,500 because you do see increased production from him playing with Mike Conley compared to D'Angelo Russell. Usage rates up a little bit. Points per minute production is up, but the salary's gone up along with it. And the big concern I have with Gobert is that he just hasn't been playing those same huge minutes that he was earlier in the year. You're getting a lot more of these 29 to 31 minute games from Gobert with Naz Reid playing more backup minutes, compared to earlier in the year where without foul trouble or blowouts, you were frequently getting 35, 36 minutes from Gobert. So I have trouble, especially on a slate like this, getting to a lot of Gobert, even though the ceiling is pretty high. Edwards at 9,600, pretty much correctly priced. We have also seen a bit of a downtick in assist percentage from him with Mike Conley. They're not running Edwards at the point as much as they were with D'Angelo Russell. So, from a fantasy standpoint, that's not ideal. Edwards can go out there and drop 40, 50 actual points, but outside of making that sort of argument, which you can make for a lot of players on any slate, there's nothing that really stands out to me from this team.
Yeah, I got to say, I thought Ant was really going to see an uptick when they traded for Mike Conley, just because he would be scoring so many points. And it's kind of gone the other direction. His past 4 games in particular have been, his best is 43, just not putting up the kind of stats you need when you're priced him at 9,600. So I'm kind of hoping that price will come down a little bit. Maybe we can start playing Ant again, but hard to really prioritize him at 9,300. 3.6% ownership, obviously interesting. Also, I see Mike Lawrence in chat pointed out that this is a revenge game of sorts for Austin Rivers. Playing against his dad, he can get revenge for all of that love that he withheld during Austin's childhood. So maybe in those 6 minutes, he can hit like 10 threes or something. All right, anything else you want to say about this game before we move on?
No.
All right, well then let me tell you guys about our sponsor, Prize Picks. If BetMGM is not available in your state, we talked about BetMGM earlier, legal betting states, you can sign up for BetMGM. But if it's not available in your state, Prize Picks probably is. I know it is here in Minnesota. Was pretty excited to learn that. When you sign up for Prize Picks, you will also get 1 free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. So again, that deal that I really love, when you sign up and bet only $10 on PrizePicks. So as little as $10, you can sign up, get that free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum if you don't already have it. That's every tool on the site for every sport. $120 value for free when you sign up for PrizePicks using the link in the description or in chat. Follow the steps and deposit $10 or more and place a bet of $10 or more on whatever you want. And when that bet settles, PrizePicks will hit you up with how to get your free subscription to Stochastic. So sign up now. I think it's about as good of a deal as you're going to get. I think that the best deals that we run are the ones that come with these Stochastic tools. So, legal betting state, sign up for BetMGM. Not legal betting state, head over to PrizePicks. Sign up if you haven't already. It's a pretty solid deal. And then you throw in the Stochastic Plus Platinum on top, and it's just an amazing deal. All right, Adam, let's move on to the next game on the slate, which is Golden State at OKC. The Warriors are favored by 4. This is a high scoring, the highest scoring game on the slate by a little bit of a margin, by 6 points here. So very high scoring game here between the Warriors and the Thunder. We'll start on the Warriors side of the game. We do have Steph Curry back, so we don't have kind of the value we've been getting from Curry being out for a little while. Anybody that you really prioritize from the Warriors, and who's making it into your player pool?
Yeah, nothing to really prioritize here, which is scary. Like, I think they're another good tournament team where you have a $10,100 Steph Curry only pulling 4% ownership. He played 32 minutes last game, so I don't expect him to be limited here at all. You know the type of ceiling you get from him. The problem you're just going to run into is like, yeah, Steph Curry at low ownership is nice to get to, but you also have James Harden. You also have SGA. You have Kyrie at modest ownership. You have so many just good players at low ownership that if, kind of like I was saying with Anthony Edwards, if you're just going to make the case, oh, I'm going to play a lot of this guy because he can have a big game, you're going to have a hard time deciding which guy you're actually applying that logic to. So, like if the slate started right now, I guess I'd be a little bit over the field on Curry in that I'd have like 6% instead of 4%. Right. But there's just not much really differentiating him from these other low-owned guys that I also want to be able to get pieces of. Dante DiVincenzo is pulling the most ownership here at 5,400. It's kind of like Kyle Anderson, where he has forward eligibility. He's likely to play mid-30s in minutes. He projects reasonably well. He's just going to sort of fall into lineups as like a last piece in, but it's not anything you're going out of your way to target because it's Dante DiVincenzo. He's not that exciting of a player, but if the slate started right now, I'd be around 5%. We haven't projected around 9%. So, not like I'm taking a crazy stand or anything there. You get high ceilings on Jordan Poole and Klay Thompson, but they're pretty much correctly priced. There's just so many guys on this slate that are a little bit easier to get to.
Yeah, like it looks like a great spot, like in theory, just because it is such a high scoring game, nobody getting that much ownership. But I think just because they're all kind of priced up, everybody outside of Steph is priced as though Steph is not playing. And now we get Steph back. It kind of, there's really, there's no priorities here. It's kind of unfortunate.
It strikes me as the type of game where like when this game does just go off and like it's competitive down to the wire and like you'll have somebody on Twitter being like, I can't believe everybody just faded, this game. But then the like 90% of the times that doesn't happen, they just don't say anything, it's the kind of game that can make you feel really, really dumb at the end of the night for not having more exposure to it. But at the same time, I don't like you're giving up a lot to get exposure to this game.
Right. Yeah, that's a good explanation. And maybe you want to stack this game in a lineup or two, play a couple from each side or something. But otherwise they just don't look like great individual plays. But we can move over to the other side of the game, the OKC side. They are playing without Jalen Williams, the wing, no Y in the name, will be out for OKC tonight. So we have a couple decent value plays, at least for OKC. Is anybody a priority for you here? And who's making it into your player pool?
No priorities here either. I am getting a little bit more SGA than Curry. I think that they are similar plays in that they don't stand out as top options, but it doesn't take a lot for them to become a top option in terms of, range of outcomes. SGA did play 37 minutes last game. So again, we shouldn't have concerns about his playing time either outside of the typical OKC bullshit. But typically that doesn't affect SGA. You also don't have Jalen Williams tonight, the wing, which shouldn't have a big impact, but whoever they replace him with in the starting lineup is going to be a lower usage guy than Jalen Williams is. So there is probably going to be a little bit of a benefit or a little bit more opportunities for Gilgeous-Alexander and Josh Giddey. But we've seen Giddey's price tag come up a bit as a result of SGA being out. So I like SGA in tournaments. I'd be around the field if the slate started right now. Other than that, I don't feel good about anything here. I do think that there's a lot of uncertainty because we don't know how they're going to replace the Jalen Williams minutes. Mm-hmm. You could see Aaron Wiggins play a bunch. That's my guess at who starts. You could see him play a bunch. You could see Saric play more than we're expecting at 3,300. You could see increased run for Isaiah Joe. You could see them go full OKC and just like give more minutes to Waters or Ousmane Dieng or something like that. But it just kind of turns up the volatility on what's already an unpredictable OKC rotation, where it does have the potential at the end of the night to look back and be like, oh, damn, Saric played 12 minutes more than he was projected for because that's just what they decided to do today. And these guys aren't bad point per minute guys, especially Saric, but it's also difficult to really trust that. So I guess I would say that you do have some dirt cheap value here that's probably going a little bit under-owned, but it's not stuff that I'm confident enough in that I want to just be taking huge stands. But like Saric, projected for 18 fantasy points at 1% ownership. Wiggins projected for 21 at 4% ownership. It's not going to take that much for the rotation to break in your favor to where like those guys look much better than they do right now.
Yep. I think that's when I was looking at like the top value plays early in the day, I noticed Aaron Wiggins and Jalen Williams with the Y, and they're two of the better like point per dollar, 6.2x value for each of these guys. But neither of them are guys that I really want to be jamming into lineups anyway. Kind of hard to prioritize them just because they're not like great fantasy producers. Jalen Williams, the better fantasy producer, but he's center only, so a little bit hard to prioritize. We did also just get the news that Jalen Brunson is officially out. Adam, we recapped earlier in the show how we're going to handle that, but do you want to go over it again really quickly, who you're prioritizing from the Knicks with Jalen Brunson out?
Prioritizing Emmanuel quickly as far as like absolutely one of the best plays on the slate. RJ Barrett looks a hell of a lot better. Julius Randle looks better. Josh Hart looks better. So yeah, like Hart, Barrett, Randle I would say look better, but still aren't like going to be, your highest owned guys. RJ Barrett probably sees the biggest bump there just because his price tag has come down as a result of him playing a lot fewer minutes since the Josh Hart trade. And now he's likely to be back into the upper 30s. But Emmanuel quickly goes from like not really that interesting to arguably the best play on the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great matchup with Charlotte too. Like there's a lot to really like about these Knicks guys. All right. And they'll cover that once again on the next show. They'll go into it if you guys have more questions about the Knicks benefiting, but I think that's a pretty succinct explanation. We've got a few games left.
The other thing to keep in mind is it does just relatively make a lot of these other pieces we've talked about look worse. Like, for example, if the slate had started 5 minutes ago, I would have had like 60% Jaden Ivey. Like that was a big stand I was going to take. Much more difficult now when I have to get to a bunch of Emmanuel quickly in those guard spots. Same goes for, Suggs, Anthony, all of these guards, Joseph, Carter, like everybody kind of just moves down a peg because of Emmanuel quickly.
That's a really good point. I like the way you are going out of your way to contextualize that, like things that change for one team also affect the rest of the slate. Like every player's projection is relative to every other player's projection and range of outcomes. So that's a really good point. We also did get, we got a super chat from Shakari. MH Food, Adam, what's the good value? I missed a lot. So that's
there's about 50. If you click somebody today, they're probably good value.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Emmanuel quickly, Marvin Bagley, I think the two that like really Tyus Jones, I think are like the three, I guess, that really stand out, but there's a lot of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of very solid value on this slate. We have talked about a good amount, but there's a couple, and they'll talk about that on the next slate as well, because we have just so much good value on this slate. But Adam, we should move on. Anything else you want to say about Golden State and OKC before we move on?
It just got even less appealing.
Yeah. All right. Well, then let's move on to Brooklyn at Houston. Brooklyn favored by 8.5. This game has a 230.5 implied total. We'll start with the Brooklyn side of the game. Who's making it into your lineup? Who's a priority, if anyone?
The whole team looks decent. They have definitely been affected negatively by the rest of the slate today. Like, I was getting to a lot of Spencer Dinwiddie earlier. I'm sure I won't be now. He's still a good play. It's just difficult to get there when you have all these other guard plays. Nick Claxton was pulling a ton of ownership this morning. Now he's down to like 10% because Mo Wagner soaking up center ownership. Still a good play. Great matchup with Houston. Good spot for Cameron Johnson, who has gotten a little bit more expensive. Good spot for Mikal Bridges, who has been a monster with Brooklyn so far and playing really big minutes. Good spot for a 4K Dorian Finney-Smith. I like this team in tournaments. The ownership is under control because none of these guys are just like $2,000 too cheap, which is what it takes to be a top play today. But they are like somebody from Brooklyn's going to have a big game today. It would be shocking if they don't. So they're just kind of the perfect team to just be mixing and matching into lineups. But I don't think that there's one guy in particular that is like head and shoulders above the rest.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's probably going to be my approach to just sprinkling them in, but not really forcing anybody from Brooklyn because, yeah, a lot of decent values and guys with big upside, but hard to predict night to night who's going to, see that upside. All right. Anything else about Brooklyn before we move on to Houston?
Nope.
All right. Well, then let's move on to the Houston side of the game. Is this the healthiest that we've seen Houston in 2023? At least it feels like everybody who's relevant is healthy here, which we have not seen a ton. Any priorities for you from Houston, and who would make it into your player set?
No, I mean, like you said, they're healthy, which makes it really tough. If for whatever reason you're insisting on playing somebody from Houston, I think Eason, Şengün, and Green would be the three at the top of the list for me. 6,400 on Green, clearly has a ceiling there, but he's playing with Şengün, he's playing with Porter, so it's not like he looks great. Şengün always has a high ceiling as well, but center is just so tough. Like, you can't miss at center today. And then also you have pay up centers that look good. You have a value center that looks good in Wagner. You have Mitchell Robinson that looks good. It's just really tough to get tons of Şengün. Tari Eason's price tags come up a little bit. He still makes sense in tournaments just from an upside standpoint. Like, on average, or if games go exactly according to plan, I expect him to be playing around 22 minutes or so. But without Eric Gordon, you have been seeing him play more alongside Jabari Smith, which means that he has even more paths to get minutes. Like, Jabari Smith gets in foul trouble, he gets more minutes. If Şengün gets in foul trouble, you could conceivably see more minutes for Tari Eason with Jabari Smith getting minutes at the 5. There's more ways, more paths for Eason to get minutes, but this also isn't really the slate where I'm looking at a lot of, $4,800 speculative value. But the ceiling is still certainly there for him. It's just relatively low probability plays from Houston.
Yeah, for sure. Eason's somebody I wrote up earlier as somebody I liked as a mid-range value play. And I still like that he's a fine mid-range value. He's 4,800. 5% projected ownership. And if you look at his game log recently, he's just been absolutely crushing it. But with the whole team healthy, he's a little bit risky. You just can't really count on those minutes. And now we have more and more value opening up since I did my write-up earlier. So harder to really prioritize him, but still kind of interesting. And Şengün all the way down at 7,300. Man, if you had told me a month ago Şengün was going to be 7,300, I probably would have loved that. He did. He put up 46 fantasy points in 26 minutes in the most recent game, but he's typically been playing under 30 minutes, all except for like one game in the past 8. So really hard to feel too confident in Şengün.
I mean, some of that has, or a lot of that has been foul trouble and blowouts. Like, I still think the minutes are there for him if those things don't happen. And somebody in chat said that he doesn't get the usage with Porter and Greenback. He doesn't get the usage in the sense that like it's lower, but in the games he's played with them this year, he still has a 22% usage rate. He still averaged 1.22 DraftKings points per minute. Like, Şengün does have a high ceiling here. It's just that he's pretty much correctly priced, and there's so many other good centers. Like, the thing is, like, if you're going to say like, oh, I'm really prioritizing Şengün, like, what's your reason for really prioritizing him and not Rudy Gobert? They're very similar plays at the same price point. Like, you just have a bunch of guys that look similar, and that's why you're just not going to see a lot of ownership coming into him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything else that you want to say about this game before we move on?
Nope.
All right, guys, I should tell you that we have a great offer on NBA Bet Pro. Stochastic's top-ranked DFS pros have made millions and millions of dollars in daily fantasy contests using Stochastic's NBA DFS player projections. Now users can have direct access to the same NBA player stat projections that drive our winning DFS player point projection models. With this data, users can apply advanced sports analytics to player prop bets and get an edge on these sports books. These NBA projections are directly managed by the same team that manages our DFS projections. Alex Baker, Sean Zahn, Steve Buzzard, 3 of the best NBA DFS players in the game, managing our projections, managing NBA Bet Pro. If you sign up now, 7-day free trial for new users, and then it'll be $29.95 per week, $99.95 per month after that. So take advantage of it while you can get this 7 days for free. It really is a great tool for people who can do some sports betting. So check out NBA Bet Pro while you can. Link should be in the description. Check it out. All right, Adam, we'll move on to the next game, which is Utah and Dallas. Let me scroll up a little. Yeah, Utah at Dallas. Dallas favored by 9.5, 237.5 total in this game, the second highest on the entire slate. We'll start with the Utah side of the game. Who's making it into your player pool, and do you have any priorities from Utah?
This might be the least appealing team on the slate, and I mean, there's been a few of them, but this one's really tough. I think on FanDuel, you still have that really dumb $8,600 price tag on Larry Markkinen. But on DraftKings, these guys are pretty much priced up. And it's a nice matchup in that Dallas can't defend anybody. But there's just not a lot of value on these price tags. We do have a Q tag on Walker Kessler. If he's out, you probably get more production from Kelly Olynyk, because I would expect him to get more minutes at the 5. Maybe you get Damian Jones at 3K getting substantial minutes, but don't know if they would go that route or not. I think it's more likely that they would move Olynyk down and then start another wing. But there are a couple ways this could play out. You have Azubuike as well, that maybe they could go that route. But I think Olynyk probably benefits if Kessler is out. Still probably not enough to make him like a priority on this slate, but he would look better. But other than that, I don't really see anything from Utah that looks particularly good in the context of this slate.
So I'm seeing in Fantasy Cruncher that Jordan Clarkson is also questionable. I don't know if that has changed in the most recent injury report, but we're still showing Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, he's questionable also.
Okay, so if we get Jordan Clarkson out, does THT? I guess THT's up at 6,400. Chris Dunn 4,800. Man, does anybody become a priority if we get Jordan Clarkson out?
I mean, THT would look fine. I think the price tag's pretty much correct on him. I haven't really been that enamored with him in any of these Utah games, even when Clarkson was out. Dunn's minutes would look better, but he's 4,800 as well, and not a great point per minute guy. So it's another spot where like they would look better. They still wouldn't. I don't think Jordan Clarkson or Walker Kessler are like the Jalen Brunson type pieces where it's like, oh, if they're out, everything changes. It's just like, oh, this team looks marginally better.
Okay. All right. Anything else from this game before we move on to the Dallas side?
Not from the Utah side, no.
All right, let's move on to the Dallas side of the game. Luka Doncic, the highest projected player on the entire slate last I checked. Anybody who's a priority for you from Dallas, who's making it into your player pool?
Luka is a priority, at least as of when I ran lineups during the show. Probably has come down a little bit just because we got more guards opening up. But he's the top projected guy on the slate. It's easy enough to get there. You have a good matchup against Utah. His rates and production have certainly come down with Kyrie there, but you're still talking about a fantasy point and a half per minute, 37% usage rate, 31% assist percentage in the games that they've played together. So he still looks good. I don't have any issues getting to Kyrie at 9,300 either. Playing time should be there. He's nearly 1.3 DraftKings points per minute still with Doncic. So these are just two guys you can look at for, raw points because we have an abundance of value. We need to get the high scores from somewhere. So both of these guys look good. It really just comes down to, do you have enough guard spots to really get to a lot of them? I was not having issues getting to them in the crunch earlier, but I haven't rerun it with quickly yet.
Yeah, I imagine. Luka's going to be easier to get to. I guess some of these other guys, maybe not. All right, we've got 0 minutes left and 1 game to go. You win, chat. I was going too slow, but I also don't care. These guys aren't mad that we're going overtime, so we'll cover this game. We've got Memphis at the Lakers. Starting,
and you shouldn't be mad either because it's less time to watch Eric.
Exactly. You get more time with us, less time with Eric. This is a win-win for everybody. Adam, how about the Memphis side of the game? Ja Morant, obviously out for this one. This is kind of an important one. Tyus Jones, clearly the best play on the slate earlier in the day. Is he still the best play? Just tell me, who do you like from Memphis? Who's making it into your player pool?
Yeah, saving one of the best teams for last, but Tyus Jones still looks really good at 4,900. Kind of probably easy to just forget about him because he is the last game we're talking about. But this is somebody that averages over a fantasy point per minute in games that he starts without Ja Morant, averages over 30 minutes per game. He's only 4,900. So there's probably a tendency to look at that price tag and think that because it's so much more expensive than it was on Sunday that he's correctly priced now, but he's not. He's still underpriced here. We have him projected for 35 and a half DraftKings points at 4,900. It's just another very, very good guard value. Desmond Bane at 7,700 gives you a very high ceiling, increased usage for him without Morant, increased usage for Jaren Jackson. And then another benefit for Jaren Jackson is that in addition to Steven Adams being out, Brandon Clark is also out. So you're getting backup center minutes behind Xavier Tillman from Jaren Jackson. Those are valuable minutes for him. Increased block upside, increased rebounding upside for him, in addition to the increased usage without Morant. So he looks good. Dylan Brooks at 4,200, obviously never feels great to roster, but I've talked about it a lot recently. Dylan Brooks' usage plummets when all three of Morant, Bane, and Jackson are in. But as long as at least one of those guys is out, you get the Dylan Brooks meme back where he's just going to go out there and chuck and hopefully shots fall. Minutes should be there. He's 4,200. It's not a bad matchup. And then finally, Xavier Tillman has power forward eligibility now for some reason. So 5,400 power forward coming off the game. He played 33 minutes with no Clark and no Adams. He should play a lot here as well, as long as he can avoid foul trouble. Obviously, that is a risk here in this matchup, but good power forward play as well. So any of the starters for Memphis look at least, good, if not great. Jones and Bane, I think, are the top two.
Do you have a take on Emmanuel Quickley versus Tyus Jones? I believe Quickley's 5,000, Jones 4,900. Have you given it any thought yet?
They're two of the top plays. I would probably lean Quickley just because Tibbs is more insane than Taylor Jenkins is.
That's a good point. Yeah, more likely to play 48 minutes plus any overtime. Okay.
Tyus Jones back. I guess it's worth mentioning. Tyus Jones backup is actually questionable as well, but I don't think it matters. You're probably just going to get Desmond Bane running point behind him anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And then on the other side of the game, any interest? We have LeBron James out again, I believe. D'Angelo Russell out, or at least questionable once again. Any priorities for you from the Lakers? Who's making it into your player pool?
Anthony Davis, clear priority. Still underpriced. He's about 1.5 fantasy points per minute without LeBron on the floor this year. It's, I think, been even a little bit higher in the full games he's played without LeBron. So he looks really good, and he's not a guard, which is nice. Obviously there's a lot of opportunity cost at center as well, but not quite to the same extent as guard. On FanDuel, he has power forward eligibility as well, so even easier to get him in. The D'Angelo Russell news is sort of important. It would be a lot more important on other slates. It matters, I think, a lot on the night slate. But if D'Angelo Russell's in at 6,300, if he's starting, I actually think that's a pretty good price tag for him. It's just that on the main slate, I still don't really know how you're getting that much of him when you have all these other guard plays. But it is something to keep an eye on for the smaller slates.
Okay, man, we just got Karl Anthony Towns remains without a timetable for return per Coach Finch. I thought he was going to be coming back right around now based on the last update.
I thought he'd been practicing.
Yeah. So that is a bummer. Anyway, Adam, anything else that you want to say about this slate?
It's going to be a high scoring slate. So good luck.
Good luck. Guys, please do. I haven't asked for it since the beginning of the show. So please do like the video if you have not already. I know all jokes aside, I know a lot of you have been missing Eric. Eric and Greg will be going tip to tip in just a few minutes on Live Before Lock. So stick around the channel. Good luck tonight.
Yo, it's that time of week again where we're inducting you fine people into the Stochastic Hall of Fame and giving away some monthly subscriptions to everything on our site, all of our tools right here, just by rocking the Stochastic avatar, finishing top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more, and tweeting your wins to @Stochastic Hall of Fame. You're getting the free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. You're getting inducted right here. All you got to do is go to stochastic.com/avatar. Rock that avatar wherever it is you play. Tweet your wins at Stochastic Hall of Fame, and we're in business. Just like Ryan did. How do I go about getting that free membership? Thanks for this content, guys. Congrats, man. $4,800 win right there in the fadeaway. Love to see that. Third place. And then, how about Arnold? He was on here twice last week. He's on here again this week with a much bigger win than both of those. In the 60K mini max, boom. Thanks, guys. First place in the mini max. $3,600 going to Arnold. Congrats, man. Keep that heater going. And Mitchell King was on here last week as well. Hit another one. Moved up to the $1 tournament this time. See, you just keep moving up, man. Then you get those free tools, right? You get the free month, and then you can use them wherever it is you play, no matter the stakes. $2,000 in the end one. Congrats, Mitchell. Keep that going. An Ugly 8 game. We've seen him on here plenty of times. Thanks to the great content, Stochastic NBA, and timely news from, yes, the news guy, DFS. Even I can win a free month of Stochastic Platinum. Congrats, dude. And how about Gary Encarnacion? Missed first place by just 1 rebound. I'll take it. $400, second place in the NBA shop. Followed up by Samuel Johnson. Had a nice evening. Again, the mini max. And remember, doesn't matter if you're playing $1 entry, quarter, nickel, $20 entry, as long as it's top 3 in a field of 5,000 or more. That is literally all that matters. And you're rocking the Stochastic avatar. Make sure to update it too. Get that new fresh one that you see up here. Samuel Johnson, $283 in the mini max, first place. And then you have Paco, 4OU, $250. My dedication to following the Stochastic Live Before Lock shows pays off. Not a monster score, but not a bad takedown for a quarter investment. There it is. Again, $250 on a quarter. Congrats, man. And Skimmer, to wrap this one up, thanks to Greg Ehrenberg and Neil Orfield for the LBL last-minute advice for third place. Appreciate you. LFG, 4K daily dollar, third place, $125. Congrats to all of you. Remember, download the avatar. Use it wherever it is you play. Hit us up at Stochastic HOF and get that free month. Get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
You should fix them.
I think you should shut up.
Did you get them at the dollar store, by the way? Why are they
Why are you paying? Why do you care so much? You literally just got a picture on your background like 2 weeks ago.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stochastic NBA Strategy Show. I'm Greg Ehrenberg. I'm joined by my friend Eric Lindquist. He's coming to us from the coming to us from the motel with the broken window shades in the background. He's got Prize Picks over his right shoulder. The reason being is Prize Picks is sponsoring today's show. As you guys come in, do us a favor, like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel as we go on here. Eric and I are going to be talking a little bit more about Prize Picks and some of our favorite props over there. We're going to be covering that even more extensively in the post-lock show. But this is going to be a hustle of a show, Eric, because we got Jalen Brunson rolled out not that long ago. And now one of our favorite guys, one of our absolute favorite guys, Walker Kessler, is not going to be playing. That is the freshest news we have to work with. Number one, how are you doing today? Actually, I don't even give a shit. What
Number one, I'm good. Fine. Move on. Yeah. Who cares? You don't care about me.
No, I don't at all.
Yeah, I know. Keep going. Say your fucking words, child.
I asked you a question. I said,
I don't know. What else? Walker Kessler being out. Yeah, no, it matters. You're going to get some kind of, I mean, Azubuike, welcome to the rotation. That'll be nifty. That doesn't really move the needle. Feel as though Kelly Olynyk, is there a chance that they just go small ball here too? I mean, they got Damian Jones. So I assume he's going to be the guy that probably benefits the most if they just give him the run and say, let's go. They could also go to 5, where they just go Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen 4-5 in some kind of context. Vonacchio probably jumps in and gets some extra minutes too. But like for the most part, Walker Kessler, that's a lot of blocks that will not be taking place at the rim tonight in Dallas.
Yeah, I want to look at the other thing too is we still have Jordan Clarkson being listed as questionable. So there's still potentially.
I don't think he's playing.
You don't think he's playing?
No.
The only thing is, to me, I think he's a true 50-50. Now, obviously, it means he could still get ruled out. The reason I say that, though, is because if they weren't going to play him today, why not just rule him out when Walker Kessler gets ruled out?
Totally. But I'm saying it might be like a true 50-50 in that kind of context. But I think earlier, before that news, I was pretty much leaning because he got the downgrade in the afternoon, too. There were a lot of afternoon downgrades, and so far everything is hit. So it's just going to continue on. I mean, Jalen Brunson was last night, some kind of a foot issue. Makes sense that now that they're surging, up in upper echelon of the Eastern Conference, makes sense to rest your star player at the moment. Let Emmanuel quickly play another 48 minutes tonight. That sounds fun by me.
And don't want to belabor the point too much because still want to talk more about Utah here, but quickly wasn't necessarily falling out of the rotation, but his minutes were kind of starting to dissipate a little bit, and then Brunson gets ruled that he plays all of the minutes possible. Brunson had played because before Brunson being out, quickly played something like 42 minutes total in the previous 2 games, and then he tops that in just that one game that we see Brunson first get ruled out. And obviously, it was due to overtimes and whatnot. But we are going to see quickly absolutely run into the ground here, play as many minutes as he can handle. But getting back to the Utah Jazz, if you are assuming that Jordan Clarkson isn't playing. Well, what are you getting to from Utah then?
Talen Horton-Tucker, it's wild to say 6,400 Talen Horton-Tucker is eligible for this slate, but because of the shooting guard small forward eligibility, I think it has some utility. We do have quickly. We can play at shooting guard. He's going to be in everything I make more than likely over on DraftKings today. FanDuel, different conversation for everybody playing over there. And I do have some lineups over on FanDuel today, so I'm excited to talk them a little bit more than normal. Lauri Markkanen, though, 9,600 seems inflated, but like who else scores the basketball besides him, THT, and Kelly Olynyk? Answer, probably nobody. So Olynyk is inflated up to 6K. That starting lineup is going to be pretty major. And obviously, I would want to see Clarkson out too to make any of these guys eligible. Otherwise, there's just better value that exists on this slate. Lauri Markkanen is kind of like a luxury item here. If you don't know about Clarkson, if we got him ruled out, he would definitely be somebody I'd want to get to considering the small forward eligibility.
And by the way, actually, Eric, if you look in chat, a lot of people are really excited that you're back. What people don't know is where you were yesterday. Well, a lot of people know, but this is a good way to tell the people where you were yesterday. He was over on the Odd Shopper channel doing the new Odd Shopper live before lock show that we're doing leading up to the slate, but for sports betting. So if you guys haven't checked that out, go ahead and do it. Eric's going to be doing that a few days a week. We got Eitan over there. We got Ben. We got Lofty. It's over on the Odd Shopper channel. So always like this video and subscribe, but go check out our sports betting channel and all the content we have going there. Eric, how's that show been going? It's
been great until my internet. So AT&T lost internet in our entire neighborhood. The entire zip code was blank if you had AT&T yesterday for about an hour and a half. Got it up just in time to get everything done that I needed to for my NBA video at nights. That was important, but Eitan had to join with Ben, and we missed out on the Nikola Jokic 1 assist. I'm gonna say it's AT&T's fault. That's what I'm gonna say, is that we fell 1 assist shy of these crazy Nikola Jokic hitting it like a 75% clip in 2023. Part of that, Jamal Murray playing really well, but would have been nice to get Michael Porter Jr. out of there too. But could have had an even better night yesterday. Didn't really have a good night at all. If Jokic could have gotten that 1 extra assist.
So go check out the stuff they're doing over on Odd Shopper. Eric's doing that a few days a week. If you guys were ever sitting here and you're like, I miss Eric, where is he today? Well, he's over on Odd Shopper. We're talking about some sports betting. Some questions that we have coming in via the super chat, and if anybody has Discord questions, at me in there so I could start answering some of them. Teddy Wayman, best duo in the business. We love you, Eric. You're a real one.
I miss Eric. Where is he today? What do you mean? Where am I today? Like, you saying that I'm moody or that I'm not normal? What are you indicating there, Jordan Klein? Shut the fuck up.
What?
Stop talking.
What? Good time to take a little sippy of Eric's tears. I've been telling people there's nothing that will get the electrolytes in the body better than these salty.
Does it literally say Eric's tears on that?
Yes, it does say Eric's tears on here. Eric's tears.
Michael's secret stuff.
Even better than Gatorade. Are you going to answer Teddy's question, by the way?
Yeah, no, best in the business. I really, really appreciate that. And then we had Rodney McGrewer. Teddy, best duo. We love you, Eric. You're a real one. That was the question. It was not a question. It was more of a statement, a proclamation, if you will, that I am awesome. And you're okay, too.
So once again, Eric takes away for a day, comes back, does not want to answer anybody's questions. Super chat from Ace of Spade. DK Tears for Fears. So as per usual, I've got these lineups run here for our guy Ace of Spade. Tier 1's pretty simple. It's Luka Doncic today. Tier 2, this would have been SGA for me, but then we got news that Jalen Brunson was going to be playing. So Julius Randle makes it for me in Tier 2. Tier 3 is Kyrie Irving. Tier 4, a lot of good options in Tier 4. I lean towards Mikal Bridges, though, who's been excellent for the Nets as of late, well on his way to becoming an all-star caliber player. Tier 5 is Desmond Bane for me in the absence of Ja Morant. Tier 6 is Alperen Şengün. By the way, we've seen reports that Morant could be facing up to a 50-game suspension.
What?
Yeah. Mark Stein was reporting that earlier.
I mean, good, but also not good, if that makes sense. I mean, you want to cheer for kids to figure stuff out. That'd be great.
Yeah, the old Gilbert Arenas rules. You're not allowed to bring a weapon on team planes anymore. And that is a rule that Ja Morant may have violated. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. Rodney Magruder and Greg, baby. Can't wait to soak with you in the post game. You got my number. Next question here is that all of them? Oh, Corey Shea. How do we get contrarian today, guys?
It's a great question.
How do we get
there's really good chalk. I feel like there's been a lot of these shows recently you and I have done. I obviously am over on the Odd Shop doing quite a few shows. Doing a lot of PGA content, a lot of other things. But I feel like on an NBA Live Before Locks, like Sunday with EMAC, like the chalk has been really, really good. Like Tyus Jones, impossible for me not to like just jam at 4,900. Mo Wagner, 3,900. Now that we saw 33 minutes, I don't expect 33 minutes. I'm not projecting him for 33 minutes, but we've got him projected for 32, and that feels good enough. So again, I'd be surprised if he played fewer than 30 here. Marvin Bagley, considering the power forward eligibility, and until yesterday could not fail as chalk, makes a lot of sense. Like, I think what you're trying to find is some of these studs. Again, that's where Lauri Markkanen has some utility. That's where some of these other studs you're rotating between. Steph Curry. I don't think Steph Curry has a crazy high minutes allotment there. He's at 31 projected here, but we're going to see more than we saw the 32 right out of the gate against the Lakers. He had more than a month off. Would I be surprised if he played 34 in a competitive spot? It's projected to be. That feels like a dude sub 5% that you could get to. SGA, I have no idea what to make of that minutes and the reporting and everything surrounding it. But I mean, rotating through some studs that are really low owned. Lauri Markkanen sub 3%. Kyrie Irving is 10%. Kristaps Porzingis 12%. Getting to some of them as opposed to just strictly going to Luka, Embiid, and Davis at the top end, which I'll have some, no doubt about it. But like, if I can get overweight to some of the studs surrounded by the good value, that might be the path I take this slate.
Yeah, and I mean, as per usual, too, just late swapping today. It seems like this is a slate we're going to potentially be getting a lot of news after lock. It's an 8-game slate. We're also now in the later stages of the season. We've got most teams have 17, 16 games, somewhere around there. And we're starting to see some weird stuff happening, like teams tanking, weird rotations, reports, things that coaches dirty, filthy liars. They say stuff that is absolutely not true. Like Mark Dagnall, the coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder, saying the other day that, he actually didn't outright say that SGA was going to be restricted. He said they were going to change his rotations. And I think a lot of people took that to mean limited. It seemed to me like limited, but that's not what it ended up being. But either way, what was that?
No, it was not limited. 37 minutes is not limited.
There's just going to be some weird stuff that ends up happening. But also, I mean, James Harden is questionable today. We've got Kyle Kuzma is questionable to play today. We've got Jordan Clarkson still questionable. D'Angelo Russell questionable. Tobias Harris questionable. Kevon Looney is questionable. Looney, by the way, is live to get ruled active, start and play 3 minutes. That'll keep that weird streak going that they give a shit about for some reason. So there's a lot of news that's still to come. And I just think leaving yourself some availability in your lineups to late swap is going to be the easiest way to find good value plays that are contrarian today.
Yeah, I totally love that.
So let's talk also about that Sixers situation. It's the tail end of a back-to-back. Tobias Harris is questionable. James Harden is questionable. I tend to think neither of them are going to play. Here's why I think that. We have seen the Sixers put a lot of players on the injury report this year. Usually it hasn't meant anything. Usually the guys have just played. With that said, Joel Embiid just out at a game the other day. They haven't had a chance to sit out James Harden. This to me seems like the spot where you now give James Harden that rest night, especially because they just gave Embiid one.
Agreed. I'm leaning towards him being out now. I thought about adding it last night to the betting card, getting like to +3 now, going to the Philly side. I don't think there's any point in trying to do it. I think they're just probably going to be resting him here in this spot. I think we're probably going to be getting a lot of value that might look better than, well, it depends. I just like the Knicks so much, and I think they're going to be higher owned as a result, whether it's Emmanuel Quickly, Mitchell Robinson, some of those pieces from just the Charlotte matchup that you get there. I'm having a tough time figuring out who I want to get to outside of Maxey, Melton, and Embiid. Like Jalen McDaniels played well yesterday, but I have a feeling his ownership goes way up. He went from 3,900 to 3,100 out of the middle of nowhere. And I think that's a piece of chalk that if it shows up as chalk, I probably want to get away from. Maybe he's just too cheap to pass up. I'm not sure yet. Haven't redone my lineups here, but yeah, assuming that Harden, Harris, and Tucker all sit, there's definitely going to be minutes. George Niang, does he end up playing a larger allotment of minutes? It's hard for me to figure out exactly what I want to do. Everybody's going to play Embiid, Maxey, and Melton. I hope that news comes out as late as possible so that we can be the only ones to react to it. But I guess it's just kind of a wait and see thing.
Yeah, and I also want to check out some of the ownership projections we have on the Jazz. Let's see if that's updated now. Not quite yet. When it is, then we will go back to it and see what some of that looks like. In the meantime, some more super chats coming in, and then I'll answer the Discord questions that we also have. By the way, being in Discord, one of the perks of being a Stochastic Plus Platinum member, if you guys haven't signed up yet, if you use the link we have below, coupon code is going to get you 50% off any package that get you into Discord with Stochastic Plus Platinum. Get to answer us questions if you want to. You could so choose to spend all your time in Discord just trolling Eric. Good enough reason to sign up for a package, in my opinion, in addition to all the projections, ownership projections, and all the tools that we have over at Stochastic.com. But first, super chat here for my future phenom. Better GPP play tonight, Jones or Quickly?
GPP Quickly. I understand the Damon, like assuming Jones starts. Assuming he ends up being the guy who gets started 3K.
Jones. I mean, not
Trey Jones. Sorry. I thought we were talking Damian Jones. For some reason, I was just still tweaking all my Utah stuff. And so I had him on the brain. Yeah, I love Tyus Jones. I think Tyus Jones is probably, the answer is both of them.
Yeah.
But if I had to only pick one for today's slate, I still take Tyus Jones. I had 100% of both of them on Sunday.
Yeah, so right now I have a little bit more exposure to Quickly, so that's going to be my answer. But ideally, I have a bunch of both of them. Like I don't think you need to choose one or the other. Play both of them. No issue with that at all. The next question we have in here. Oh no, we answered that. So let me go into the Discord where I saw that I had some notifications, and then of course the Discord app closes for me when I go to open it up. Like I want to use this. No, you're not going to
torture him. Hurt him the same way he hurts me live on screen. Is anybody out there? Can
once again, Eric trying to get out of answering people's questions. I'm just trying to read the questions.
What it was.
And you want nothing of that. You want nothing to do with it. Noah, what value are we waiting for that's better than Bagley, Wagner, Jones, and Quickly? I mean,
it's not better. It's lower owned.
Yeah, it's very unlikely we're going to get better points per dollar value than like a Quickly or a Tyus Jones.
We're not
going to. But what we could get later on in the day, which Eric had just said there, is we could get really good plays that the field just isn't going to be on.
Yeah, that's the thing about late swap. I don't think people think about it correctly. It's not necessarily better all the time. Like, it's not about getting to better. A lot of the times it is. Certain slates, you're starved for value. We are not starved for value at the moment, but like somebody just asked earlier, how do we get different on this slate? Well, you get different by waiting to react to certain pieces of news, by, playing more Javon Carter than Tyus Jones for whatever reason, for, getting to Marvin Bagley more than, playing 100% of him as opposed to 100% of the other pieces around it. Like, there's so many different paths for it. Like, that's where the tools should help you indicate decision-making. Like, we have the boom bust tool. It's the best tool at Stochastic, period. I'd say the Top Golfers tool is pretty incredible too, but the NBA boom bust tool is helping you figure out who is going to just slam at their specific positions. And if there's a lot of people who look similar over there, we're able to find ways to get to the lower owned pieces by waiting. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Jordan Clarkson, but there's going to be something that emerges if he ends up sitting that's going to be very low owned compared to if we knew that news right now. So those are the kind of things that we need to be focused on with late swap, not always just, is better value going to emerge?
And we just got some news, by the way. SGA will play today, but he will sit tomorrow. That makes me think he plays full minutes today. Usually I don't really care about what tomorrow's news is going to be. And when I see it pop up for a notification, maybe like, do I really need to get that today? This one I think is relevant. I think this means that we don't have to be too concerned about SGA's minutes. Do you agree with that?
Agreed. And now no Jalen Williams either. Let me run some rates with Jalen Williams off the floor here too, because I got to assume if you've watched Jalen Williams, Alen Williams, play basketball the last 2 weeks, you've been way impressed the same way that I have been, not just in the box score, but legitimately defensively. He plays with energy. He's a big body. He's a really solid wing. Like OKC, when they get Chet Holmgren, if they can snag a top pick, God forbid they get Victor Wembanyama, but like, they are a basketball team right out of the gate. I know that now they're starting to hit the brakes a little bit. At least it would seem so, but maybe playing SGA 37 minutes. Like, again, I'm with you. I think he plays unbarred minutes now, no matter what. Like, I'm going to project him for around 36 now, as opposed to 34 where I had him. I'm going to add 2 to it. I imagine he's going to be a piece that I get to, because I think I very highly doubt he's going to end up over 15%, considering all of our great elite value, in my opinion, is Tyus Jones at point guard, Emmanuel Quickly at guard, SGA, somebody I really want to get to for tournaments.
Yeah. Like we said before, I wasn't confident one way or another about his minutes heading into this slate. This does make me more confident in it. And it's, kind of for a dumb reason on the surface. He's sitting tomorrow. Why should that matter? Well, because they said they are trying to be somewhat cautious with him coming back from that abdominal injury, considering the time of the year. They don't just want to give him games off, too many games off, because of where OKC is still vying for a play-in spot. But this is what they're going to be doing, sitting him tomorrow. So should be a full go for tonight. Let's see some more questions that we have in Discord. This one is from Kenny Wayne. Kenny is asking us, where'd it go? Here it is. Any interest in Bol on DK for tournaments?
Every time.
What was that?
Every time. 3,200. I had a lot. I think the thing that makes it difficult today is that he only played 17 minutes in a competitive spot. You kind of need this game to get wonky. It's projected within a 3-point spread. I always am thinking about Bol in terms of tournaments, because he's always 3,200 and he's going to carry no ownership. I had like 20-something% of him on Sunday. I don't think we need to take that shot, but would it surprise me if he played 20 minutes and put up 30, 35? No, it would not. I just think there's better value, and we're not searching for that power forward value because we have Detroit on this slate.
By the way, we did just get an ownership update from a couple of minutes ago. Jordan, do you mind putting the new ownership up on the screen, and we'll walk through some of the most recent updates? And while you're pulling that up, also, we got a question in Discord from Bluegrass Judas. He wants to know, what studs do I play in place of AD? First of all, I have no issue with AD today. I think he is a perfectly, totally reasonable play. He is my third most rostered stud right now. Number 1 for me is Luka Doncic. 2 is Julius Randle. 3 is AD. For you, do you like AD? Do you hate AD? And where are you at with your top rostered expensive payups?
Yeah, I think Anthony Davis is a smash. I think it's pretty hard, even against Memphis, Jaren Jackson Jr., Xavier Tillman, whatever. Like Memphis, they're going through some things, if you will, but it's 10-8 Anthony Davis. The rates are absurd. Looking at the center position, though, Mo Wagner is pulling so much ownership here now, too. I really like Mitchell Robinson. I think he's going to end up being the center that I end up playing a ton of, considering he closed out, played 44 minutes in that Boston game. Take away overtime, or that doesn't matter. He closed, and being able to have him out there on the floor against Charlotte specifically, I think for tournaments, he's a guy that I really want to get to. And maybe as I rerun some stuff, I might get less of AD, but I had 30% of him my last run. I feel pretty good about being just slightly over the field on him.
And one thing that I just wanted to point out, because I'm obsessed with this dumb storyline, because somebody had said that the Kevon Looney streak broke. It is not. The Warriors have played 65 games this year. Looney's played in all 65. So he's got his Iron Man streak going. The reason that's relevant, if there are games where Looney is banged up, and because the Warriors want this streak to keep going, they play him for like 2 minutes to open up the game, and then they bench him and he never returns to the game. So that's why I bring up the Looney thing that I mentioned from before. Now, the
Andre Iguodala available to play. What?
Is he now?
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played for, well, I guess he did play 15 minutes last game. I didn't know he was even back. These are the things you miss. When was that, on the 5th? I did not even know that. That must have been a morning game.
Also he's totally irrelevant at this point. Totally irrelevant.
I know, but it was just like, I just saw the name when we were talking about Golden State. It made me laugh. So you think Kevon Looney, is it live where he just doesn't play if he goes out and plays a minute?
I was texting with my friends earlier because when we saw Looney get added to the injury report, we were going, this is one of those games, going to be one of those times. And Calvin Weeks brings it up in the YouTube chat. All of Looney's unders are closed on the books. Yes, they are hip to it. This is something that I've talked about doing on the show before, and I've brought up with the Looney thing before. If he's questionable on the injury report and there's like potential kind of rest in the air for the Warriors, those kind of vibes, I do a same game parlay of his unders, because you just need those to hit like once, twice a year where he gets rested. And it's just massive value, because you take the alternate lines, you parlay all of them together. You get one of those games where he plays 2-3 minutes, all of them hit, and you have like a 25-1 parlay. But what the books have done now is they've realized the Warriors do this. You could only bet overs on Looney today. They took all unders off the board.
Wow. That's cool. So assuming that that's something that happens, I mean, does Draymond play a majority of the 5? Do you have Kuminga exposure? Is there anything we can mine out of it? Because absent a 5 there, I think they're more inclined against OKC to just play Draymond at the 5 a lot. They can bring in Lamb, they can bring in DiVincenzo. They have a lot of different iterations they can have of that lineup. But like, is there anything you can get from a DFS perspective for it?
No, I just have gambling advice that I can't take that isn't actionable, because they have figured it out and they don't.
Great talk. Glad we had it. Wasting our times. Yeah, thank you.
But
appreciate it.
If the unders come back for Kevon Looney, because here's what I think might happen: he might get ruled in, and the unders might come back. I'll be doing the parlay thing of the unders there.
Stick around, folks.
Stick around. We got 58 minutes left in the show. Super chat from Saif Bin. Thoughts on Middleton? Tricky one, right? Everybody's out for the Bucks today. They've got no Giannis. They've got no Drew. We've seen
Pets' heads are falling off.
It's insane. The Pets' heads are falling off. But Middleton, like, what do you do with Middleton's minutes here? Because he played 27 last game.
No idea.
It's the most he's played all season. Is 27 the most he's played? I think so.
Yeah.
No, he had early in, or was it?
Most he's played 29. Back in, that was before he got. He came back, and then he was out for a while. He played 29 against Golden State back on the 13th of December. That's it. So now they're doing like the yodeler in Price is Right, where he's just like going up the hill, and then eventually he'll crash again because he'll get hurt. But there you go.
That's exactly what Chris Middleton is like. I'm happy you said that, because that's kind of what I was thinking, and then you said it. It's like, whoa, we're on the same page here. It's crazy. But anyway, I have no clue what to do with his minutes. Absolutely no clue what to do with his minutes, because there's all the opportunity for usage in the world. No Drew Holiday, no Giannis, a very reasonable price tag. My inclination, what I want to do is just align myself with the field on Chris Middleton. The field's going 25%. I'll be at 25%. And then he doesn't burn me either way, because I think the minutes are very difficult to figure out.
So you're going to, I mean, did his ownership come down? He was north of 33% earlier.
He's 25% right
now.
Yeah,
okay. On our last run. Because then if he's at 25%, I'm gonna play way too much of him.
Yeah, so Jordan,
I'm gonna play a lot of him because I have him optimal rate around 30 something. Let me find this out. Let me rerun this. Because I just got everything updated.
Eric's confused. He wants to know what everybody's ownership is. Let's help him out. We're gonna read off some of these numbers. Chris Middleton on DraftKings is 25% owned. Not one of the most popular players on the slate right now for DK purposes. We have quickly 58% owned. Mo Wagner, 47%. Marvin Bagley, 46%. Tyus Jones, 40%. RJ Barrett, 38%. Of those, and actually I'll add in Javon Carter, 33%. Bobby Portis, 28%. Of all the most popular players on DraftKings, do you take issue with any of those ownership numbers?
No, I don't take issue with it, but I don't think you want to play everybody. I think I have my preferences, and it's just based on, as you upload in the optimal percentages here, as I drag those into Fantasy Cruncher, like I feel as though the person who's going to get trimmed the most for me is Mo Wagner. He's at the center position, and there's only 2 spots that you can play a center. I think there's a lot of builds and a lot of ways that I can get to the upsides of Anthony Davis to just because of the positionality. Like Marvin Bagley, power forward, just huge because he can play him at 5 different lineup spots. Bobby Portis, 5 different lineup spots. Like when you're talking about Mo Wagner being almost 50% owned, I'm basically fading one play and I'm getting everybody else at the center position. So it's like you take 50% of them, and he's no doubt a phenomenal play. Like he grades out unbelievably well. We have him, 33? He is sub 4K, but what if he puts up 25 and I get to Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid without James Harden, if that ends up happening? I can get to Nicholas Claxton, another tournament piece that I want to get to. Mitchell Robinson. Center is a smash spot. You need your center to smash, and I think he's going to be the guy who ends up getting trimmed, just knowing the way that I build lineups. He got trimmed on Sunday at least, and that didn't go very well for me.
And now on FanDuel, the ownership is way different looking because the pricing is a lot different. So on FanDuel, the most rostered players, Mo Wagner is 65% owned. He's also a power forward on FanDuel, not a center. So that's also different for him. Javon Carter is 52% owned. Corey Joseph, fat Corey Joseph is 41% owned. Bobby Portis, 37%. Jaden Ivey, 35%. Chris Middleton over on FanDuel is 35% owned at his salary over on FanDuel. So the biggest differences that we have over there, which I'm sure people are going to have on their minds. Emmanuel Quickley is $7,300 on FanDuel. That is obviously way different than his DK price. Tyus Jones is $7,500. Tyus Jones at $7,500. Quickley at $7,300. Are those prices too high, or are you still willing to play them at those elevated salaries relative to DK?
I mean, I'm still willing to get to some of them. Again, I'm playing some FanDuel today, and I think it was always going to kind of depend on, we got Wiseman starting. All right, good. I think I was always going to find some type of way to get to, I think Quickley's the better play between him and like at Tyus Jones and him. If you're picking the same guy there, I think Quickley makes more sense to get to. He has the shooting guard eligibility. I don't believe Tyus Jones does today. Yeah, he's point guard only at 7,500. I do find Quickley to be the better play of the two. I'm not sure if you do as well, but just because he can show up in more lineup spots, has an opportunity to, you don't have to compete just with the point guards. You have shooting guard available to you too. So I like Quickley on FanDuel. Tyus Jones, a little bit more cost prohibitive, 7,500. As much as I like him, as much as I like the over of 26.5 points plus rebounds plus assists for prize picks today, as much as I like a lot of things, tough for me to get to him at 7,500 on FanDuel.
We've got news. The Bucks starting lineup. This is going to change my opinion on Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is starting today.
Good.
Chris Middleton has not started. Oh my God, who was the president?
I'm in love with him today. I that's what I was saying before. His ownership came down. Now it's going to go back up, which kind of pisses me off. I hope we were going to get this later, but it makes sense that we got it now considering that game locks in 22 minutes. Mm-hmm. But I have Chris Middleton. I feel like I've been more bullish on him today than I have been ever. I have him for 30 minutes, which I think was a little bit contrarian based on everything else I was looking at. He had 28 minutes for our projection here. He's 26 some other places. Like, I think Chris Middleton was always going to come in. Like, I think Giannis sitting and them being comfortable with that and Drew Holiday sitting, being comfortable with that was probably something to be said for Chris Middleton's minutes being able to be extended to 30. Like, for me, that was the impression that I got. Because I don't think Drew Holiday it's like a kink in his neck. Like, you don't have to force him to play Milwaukee. They have title aspirations again. Like, don't worry about it. Yeah, just stay healthy. But them sitting him and Giannis together, I feel like that was a really good sign for Chris Middleton. Because I bet either one of them could have played if needed. But against Orlando, a close total, everything makes sense to just fire up Chris Middleton today.
Yep, I was going to be aligned with the field, and we'll see what his updated ownership is going to be. But as of now, I'm going to be overweight to Middleton because I'm going to give him more minutes. I thought he was going to come off the bench today. He's not.
I didn't want to say it because, again, I say stuff and then everybody takes it out of context or calls me an idiot or whatever, and my feelings get hurt. But you know what? You're going to look like a fucking idiot doing this job from time to time because you make stands and you try to give people accurate information and you're giving your opinion based on data. That is the only thing that I know I can express. I haven't projected for over 40 fantasy points, 40.2 fantasy points. He was always going to be somebody that I was going to be overweight to. Even at 36%, I was a little bit overweight. And when that ownership came down, I was north of 70% on him today. It's probably going to stay there, even if that ownership pops up now because of the minutes bump that I might give him. I might put an extra minute on top of it. It probably doesn't need to change off of 30 actually on my end. So maybe it does come down a tiny bit, but like it's always playing that scales game of like, if people think he's a worse play as a result of news, it's one thing, but now everybody's going to flock to Chris Middleton.
Yeah, rightfully so though. I mean, for me as well, He hasn't started.
Not since like December, right?
Like Eisenhower was president. It was
December 15th, that exact Memphis game where I think he got dinged up and then was out for a month plus.
Yes, and a lot of injuries this year for Middleton. He started the year late because he was injured, comes back, rests, comes back, gets hurt, plays 7 minutes of the game, comes back, gets hurt 2 games later after that, and then we saw the long layoff, comes back. They've been really slow to ramp him up, and it's time, I guess. He's starting. There's how many games do the Bucks have left? 16, something like that.
Yeah.
Start to get him ready, conditioned for the playoffs. I guess it starts today. I'm with you. I think we go to Chris Middleton. Despite what I said before, I said I didn't know what to make of his minutes. I was going to align myself with the field. Not the case anymore. I think he's one of the best options on the slate now that he is starting.
He's so good from a fantasy perspective, too, without Giannis and Drew Holiday off the floor. I mean, it's a jam.
Corey Shea, my gift to the chat, Gafford is a sneaky center. That's his gift.
Jesus Christ.
There's too many. Let me check my. Well, we also just got news that Kuzma is going to be in. I think Gafford should project well on a points per dollar basis at his current price point on DK. Here's the problem. There's like 50 centers that still project better than him. There's so many good center plays today. I think that if this was just, you could play 8 guys at any, and positions didn't matter, and it was just, what are the salaries? What is the projection? I'd probably play Gafford in that scenario. I can't for today though.
Yeah, I was really excited about playing Gafford and Porzingis if you got Kuzma out. Mm-hmm. I'm not as excited. Like Porzingis, I have 6% of right now. It's whatever. He's just showing up as lineup filler. I think because it's the first game, I want to try to get to. I'm going to play a lot of Randall here, and maybe we get that news for Utah in that hour. Maybe in the post-lock show, we'll be able to go over some of that because like I do want to get to more Lauri Markkanen. But we have kind of an interesting slate where all the games, there's like this staggered half hour. And I love these kind of like rolling slates where you can kind of react to news constantly. Like, I don't think I want to play a 9K Porzingis. There's Kuzma in now. I would much rather just play a lot of Randall here. And then I'll turn that into some Markkanen if that news breaks. I assume Jordan Clarkson, as you said, you've kind of got me thinking where maybe he has a true 50-50 shot, but going to be hard for me to preload a lot of Lauri Markkanen otherwise, but I think I can turn Julius Randle into him if that news comes out soon enough.
Sometimes people say something really funny in chat that warrants being mentioned on the show.
Oh, God.
Trafalgar Law. Are DraftKings and FanDuel going to change Ja Morant's position to shooting guard? They should. I think he's fulfilled. I think he's fulfilled the need to.
No.
I think that's his new position. Well, actually, he's just suspended now. He's not going to have the green check mark anytime soon.
People make mistakes, Greg. People make mistakes. He's going to hopefully learn from them and move on. Yeah, I don't have anything to add to that.
That's what I've been saying about OJ for years now.
Jesus
Christ.
Christ.
Lin Verse. Can Jordan pull up FanDuel ownership for a second? Jalen Verse wants you to pull this back up, Jordan. We can do that for you. So once again, the FanDuel ownership, I know we were talking about it before, but once again, we'll do some highlights of it. Actually, let's see if this is refreshed for Middleton starting. I know we had. Oh, it is refreshed for Middleton starting. So we got a new run here anyway. Chris Middleton is now 36% owned over on FanDuel. And he's actually gone down on DraftKings. But either way, FanDuel right now, these are the most rostered players. Mo Wagner, 66%, Javon Carter, 53%, Corey Joseph, 42%. We got Middleton at 36%, and then we got Big Bob Portis at 36%.
Big Bob Portis.
Big Bobby the Bully. Punch Bob. Remember
Punch Bob SquarePants?
No, remember when he broke?
Oh, yeah. No, it was Mirotic. Yes, Nikola Mirotic. Yeah. He sent him back to Spain, basically.
Yeah, he punched him so hard that he left the NBA, and he didn't even he started to get, if I'm not mistaken, this was actually something he had said. He started to, I don't know if this is related, but the reason he went back overseas was because he was homesick and felt like he didn't fit in here. That's something that
getting punched in the face might do that from you time to time. Just throwing it out there.
And broke his orbital. It was bad injuries there. Anyway, Jalen Verse, I hope that helps you there. Chris Albers just got here. Favorite plays by position. We can do that.
Sure. Do you want to do DraftKings or FanDuel? I'm playing both today.
I'll do DraftKings. You do FanDuel. I built FanDuel lineups out, but I haven't been able to update them for all of the recent news, whereas DraftKings I have. So I'll do DK. You do FanDuel.
That sounds great.
For me at point guard, I have Tyus Jones and Luka Doncic. Quickly is there too, but I'm going to say him at shooting guard. So for you at point guard?
Yeah, Javon Carter, Emmanuel Quickly, Luka Doncic.
Shooting guard, Emmanuel Quickly. I have nobody close to him at the shooting guard position on DraftKings. It's really spread out behind him. There's a lot of guys like Bridges, Bane, Cole Anthony. There's a whole bunch of players I get some exposure to, but Quickly is really the only one that I'm pretty heavy on there at shooting guard. But for you on FanDuel at shooting guard, Eric?
Chris Middleton, Javon Carter, and Emmanuel Quickly.
Small forward for me, Chris Middleton and RJ Barrett. Barrett also benefiting from the Knicks injury situation. His price has come down a whole bunch too. So RJ Barrett, I think, looks good. Yep. And Middleton, who we were talking about before. Small forward on FanDuel, who's looking good.
Hard now, but RJ Barrett, Kyle Anderson, Lauri Markkanen. 8,600 Lauri Markkanen, sub 15%. Probably my favorite guy to get to is a prospective play.
Yeah, we're about to have to. This is all now kind of
nothing matters
exercise because we're about to update it all for the
Tobias Harris will play. That's a pain in the asshole.
Okay.
Directly in the eye of the storm.
Power forward, Randall Portis. Center for me, Mo Wagner was somebody who's getting a good amount of. Marvin Bagley, Anthony Davis. But that's going to be Joel Embiid is going to be somebody about to get a bunch of.
Sharon Jackson, Bobby Portis, Mo Wagner, all of them. Power forward, FanDuel, Bobby Portis, Sharon Jackson Jr., Anthony Davis, Nicholas Claxton on FanDuel. And now Embiid's going to show up. So here we go.
So I was... like we were talking before, I thought Harden was going to sit, but I thought Tobias Harris was going to sit too. And as the great Eric Lindquist once wisely said, this is a real pain in the asshole. So Eric, this is a pain in the asshole. And how do we deal with our pains in the asshole? What are we going to do to get rid of this?
You can't just call Greg over. So that's a problem. But I suppose it's just Tyrese Maxey as much as you can on both sides. I think pretty difficult to say that that's not a good play at this point in time. We've got some just unbelievable, like the Tobias Harris thing's kind of interesting. Like how many minutes does he play right out of the gate? I think enough to be viable on this slate. So I'm going to get to him. Said McDaniels, I don't think is very interesting now with Tobias Harrison. So I think that dodged having to play that chalk because I never liked that chalk. And so now at least I'm not forced into it as a price play. I think we have enough other good value. I don't want him taking up a roster spot, but Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, they see such a bump. It's just, you get to as much of them as you can.
So let's answer some more of these questions as we update everything in the background. Shikari Mfood wants to know best center for under 4,200 on DK that is not Mo Wagner.
I like D'Anthony Melton too, by the way. 4,100. The best center that is not Mo Wagner, Mitchell Robinson for me is for a tournament.
Best center for under 4,200 that is not Mo Wagner.
4,200. That is a very specific thing, and it's not. You're not going to like the answer. I can promise you that. As I go to 4,200 DK,
it's Wagner by a really wide margin for me.
Yeah, because then it becomes Jalen Williams, YLIN Williams, and I don't want to play him. I have 0.
The answer for me is Damian Jones if it's not him, and there's such a big price drop off there. Like I would not be playing Damian Jones instead of Mo Wagner, but that's who projects best for me there.
Agreed.
The next question is from Eric Adgison. He wants to know Eason, Brooks, or Saric.
Or Saric? Those are really horrific names. Terry Eason might be the only one, but feels like he ends up being he's kind of fallen into the Xander Schauffele territory of like DFS darlings. People just play more of them regardless and don't care. Eason's at least under-owned because of the other value that's shown up on this slate, but he's been playing like 30 minutes a night. I definitely got to be Eason between the three for me.
Yeah, easily. And he's been really, I'm actually kind of surprised he's not picking up more ownership today because he has been really good as of late. Yeah. So Eason's the answer for me.
I'm just saying that it seems like he ends up way more popular than what we're projecting every single slate.
Yeah, and there have been some ones as of late where he's been super, super popular.
Oh, you were taking a drink. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, all good.
Goodbye.
They taste so good. The next super chat here is from Mr. CoolCam97. Top 5 plays for a FanDuel single entry. So just overall, if we had to say the top 5 players for FanDuel, who would they be?
Carter, Middleton, Quickly, Markkanen, and Portis. Those are and Mo Wagner, 4,400 power forward eligible there.
I have no issues with any of that. And here
I'm literally looking at my FanDuel single entry lineup. That's why.
Makes sense. The one easy way, you just read off the entire line. Be like, these are the best ones.
Could keep going. Quickly, Maxi.
Super chat from Eric's Tiers. Jesus. Any chance I can get Eric to let me know who his favorite players on DK tiers are?
Tiers from Eric's Tiers. This is irony.
I'll read them off again because I have them built out in front of me. But tier 1, Luka Doncic. Embiid does look better. I'm still Luka over Embiid, though, when there's no price being considered. Tier 2, Julius Randle. Tier 3, Kyrie Irving. Tier 4, Mikal Bridges. Tier 5, Desmond Bane. Tier 6, Şengün for me. The next question we have here, Mustang Man Mike wants to know, who are the 5 must plays in a FanDuel cash game?
Javon Carter, must.
The absolute must plays, I would say Middleton, Carter, Wagner, Portis.
Jordan Clarkson ruled out.
Oh my God, this is going to be such a
this is going to be a shit show. We got it really, really early. Yeah, so must plays for cash. You are absolutely 100% playing Emmanuel Quickly. FanDuel. Yeah, you are 100% playing Mo Wagner. He's a lock. Javon Carter is a lock. You're probably looking at Corey Joseph, considering he's 3,900. I don't know if you need to today. I'm not building over there. I think Jaden Ivey, I would probably find a way to play him instead of Corey Joseph for cash. Bobby Portis is a must. Chris Middleton's a must now that he's starting. And Desmond Bane, probably a must for FanDuel cash.
Have you updated for the Sixers yet?
No, I have not.
All right. I'm trying to do that right now, trying to figure out who I think I'm going to be.
I was answering questions and doing my job for once. So that was good.
No, we're doing both. We're
mixing it in. Let's see. Philly, there you go. So I got a lot of D'Anthony Melton, Joel Embiid, and Tyrese Maxey, as I would expect.
So I'm happy you said that, because the other thing I was going to say is I don't even find other players on the team. Like if you had Tobias Harris in a lineup here or there.
I do. I have him in one.
There's nothing else that I find to be a priority here, though, even with Harden out.
Yeah, I agree. And now we're going to have some more shit to figure out here with Utah. So I think, does Chris Dunn, I am staring at this dude. I know that I have like a checkered past here, but like I'm thinking Chris Dunn has an outside chance to start. Call me crazy. I'm notorious for saying that he was like the worst chalk ever. Hopefully everybody enjoyed the 20 fantasy points he got you against San Antonio that one night. Ended up playing a lot more than you would expect because of Agbaji, but like, I don't think it's crazy to think because of Agbaji's been playing a lot. And I think that that's still the chalk answer, but like, I'm not going to say that it's impossible that Chris Dunn ends up starting based on the Dallas matchup of Kyrie and
they could both start.
That's what I'm saying. They could all start together there. Birds of a feather now, and you just slide everybody to the right, Kelly Olynyk and Lauri Markkanen, and then you could go THT. I really like Chris Dunn for tournaments, which is like hilarious to say out loud.
We got a super chat here from Cornell Granville, wants to know, how much will we fade Joseph for RJ Hampton? Can you trust RJ's minutes? You don't need to play RJ Hampton today.
No, don't do that. Do not do that, please. For the love of you and your loved ones, don't play RJ Hampton.
RJ Hampton, not somebody that I am going to be, that I'm certainly not someone I'm going to be playing. So a lot of good value. No need for that. Let's see what we have in Discord. XS Cubs fan 23XX. Lots of love for Carter, but do you think his usage goes down with Middleton in the starting lineup? A little bit, but he's still cheap enough where I think that he's viable.
Yep. Great.
Jets World, Maxi or Ivy on DK. That is going to be Maxi for me.
Yeah, same.
We've got Gang Green saying thoughts on Dort with Williams out. Williams has been all day. It shouldn't really change anything for you now. So for me, I am not going to be getting to Lou Dort.
Either am I.
The process, thoughts on Corey Joseph. I think once I update everything for the Jazz and the Sixers here, I don't think I'm really going to end up be getting to much of Corey Joseph. He might end up in a lineup here or there, but not anything significant.
He's a person who exists in the world. Those are my thoughts.
I'm with you, by the way. I like Chris Dunn a lot for this slate.
I think Chris Dunn is really, really nice, and nobody's going to click on him. And again, this is the thing where ownership really, really matters. If we somehow refresh in the next 5 minutes and he's popular, more than happy to get away from it, but legitimately think he starts. Legitimately think Chris Dunn is the guy you want to play the most of now.
No, I agree. And like I think also with Taylor Horton Tucker, you said before you think that he looks viable now. I agree with that. But the priority is done just because of the price points.
Correct. That's the other part of it. I think, the mid-range is pretty clear who I want to be playing in the mid-range. Chris Middleton makes sense. RJ Barrett makes sense. But like, I am finding paths to get to way more Chris Dunn than I ever expected in my wildest dreams.
Yeah,
and I have wild dreams.
I don't want to play Fontecchio.
Nope. Fontecchio.
Exactly. His great grandpa invented spaghetti. People don't know that about him, but that is the absolute fact. Heflove, DK forward for 5,400 or under. 5,400 or under.
For me, God, this is a lot to get updated.
That's RJ Barrett. That's RJ Barrett.
You're not playing 4,800 Chris Dunn. I'll play 4,800 Chris Dunn when he's 5-10% owned, and then he starts and everybody else locked in. Like, it is just fine by me to play him considering how late this came out.
Yeah, I'm just reading some of the questions in here. Did you have an answer for Heflove, by the way? Are you cool with RJ Barrett?
RJ Barrett. Yeah, no, RJ Barrett's in my pool, and I'm playing quite a bit of him. Yeah.
All right. So we've got that.
A really good play. And there's so many damn good plays today. It's just silly. There are so many good plays.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting scramble here to get to lock. But Jose Morales, AD or Doncic? I believe I'm going to have more Luka Doncic. Yourself?
I'm going to have a ton of... I have 100% Chris Dunn.
AD or Doncic, though?
I don't know. Fuck. Just both. I'm trying. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. And now people are calling me. There we go.
Who's calling you?
My best friend, actually. So I'm okay.
I'm right here.
No, yeah, good one.
I'm right here.
I'm here. I'm here. Jesus Christ, my lineups are not okay.
Yeah, I'm up. I gotta click on some buttons here, Jordan.
Yeah, give us a second. Like, honestly, this is going to be a boring lock, but like we have 2 minutes, and Greg and I need to get everything in here.
My filler
we'll be chilling.
Utility DK, Bane or Jaren Jackson Jr. I prefer Jaren Jackson Jr. Cheyenne DeWald, Melton or Carter on FanDuel. That is now Melton for me.
Yep. Oh my God, my point guard position, and well, hang on, I'm going to just change quickly to shooting guard only in Cruncher. That's going to make my life way easier, I think. On DK, there we go. This is just punch me in the face and call me Susan Sarandon.
I would love to. I just uploaded my lineups. I don't know. I don't even know if I uploaded the right, because I want to make adjustments to get more of certain players. There's just not enough time. We've got like a minute to go.
I have 100% Chris Dunn. What is life? Oh, we just got that updated. We have a projected for 34. Yeah. Okay. I was right. I feel good about my life. Here we are. Upload go. Go ahead. Go. Javon Carter or Melton? Javon
just
Carter.
answered that one. It was Melton.
Well, Melton for tournaments. He's lower owned.
Melton.
Yeah.
Melton. I think actually, I think we might have gotten two people asking the same question at the same time.
That's cool.
I think that's what happened there. All right, let me run this one more time.
Got it. All right, I'm in. My God. I don't even know what to think. I don't even think I have like Detroit anymore. They're going to all be overowned as I'm looking at it.
I don't even know what I have.
I don't know who I played. I'm now playing people in the world that I think play basketball. Like I think Chris Dunn's he's terrible at basketball, but I have 100% Chris Dunn, and I doubt that changes now.
I ended up with him in 55% of my lineups. I'm happy with that number.
Yeah, it's a good number. That's a number that I think sounds more reasonable and something I should probably look into or get therapy.
And we're at lock. So one of the issues, though, is that because I was trying to figure out at first, it was like, why am I not getting more of Chris Dunn? And I mean, not the 55%, but initially I was getting a little bit less than that. But there's so many good guards to roster today. There's still Quickly. There's still Tyus Jones. Yeah. I like paying up for Luka.
Guess who's going to be the lowest owned out of everybody you're thinking of, though?
Probably Luka.
Oh, Chris Dunn is going to be the lowest owned.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. Like I would take a bet right now that Chris Dunn is the lowest. So if we took, let's actually do this. This is fun because then we can actually find out something we can put in chat what they want us to do for a bet. But I'll give you quickly Tyus Jones, Javon Carter, Jaden Ivey. I will give you. So let's take like the top, and then you said Luka Doncic. You wanted Luka as well. I think Luka's that's fair. We'll cut off anything that's projected right now for 20% and up. So Luka, Corey Joseph, Jaden Ivey, Desmond Bane, Javon Carter, Tyus Jones, Emmanuel Quickly. I guarantee you Chris Dunn is the lowest by at least 5% over all of them.
Loser rides on the bottom of the bobsled.
Oh, no doubt. Well, that's a win, actually.
So what are we actually doing here?
You tell me. I'm down for whatever.
Careful.
My God, I have like almost no Detroit now. And this was like the team that I had the absolute most of. Like I ended up with 13% Corey Joseph. But I have like no Detroit guards. None. Like Jaden Ivey, I ended up with 0 of. And he was like my favorite tournament play coming into the show. And then Tyrese Maxey and Emmanuel Quickly and Chris Dunn and Tyus Jones, just because of the solidified value. I think people are going to come down off of him. He's down to 42%. And I think now I'm getting to all of him. PJ Tucker will start. Okay. That's useless to everybody.
By the way, we got a submission from Jordan. Loser eats a stick of chalk and shaves an eyebrow off at the same time.
See, these are funny things because, I don't want to do anything I've already done, and I've done both of those things very, very adequately. So let's find something else.
I'm not gonna eat a stick of chalk. That actually might kill me. Super chat. I mean, not starting lineup here for the 76ers: Maxey, Melton, Harris, Tucker, and Embiid. So cool. Nothing there that was unexpected. Let's get some submissions from chat. Whatever chat wants, throw some submissions in. What are Eric and I wagering? The parameters right now is he has Chris Dunn. I have Quickly Tyus Jones.
Take the top 5 guards, whatever the top 5 projected guards are. And then Luka, I'll give the grouping into. So it's Jaden Ivey, Desmond Bane, Javon Carter, Tyus Jones, Emmanuel Quickly, plus Luka Doncic. Those 6.
And you are taking Chris Dunn's ownership.
I'm taking Chris Dunn's ownership is lower than all of them.
Plus 5, you'd said.
Plus 5%, yes.
Okay. So that's what you want for that. And then whatever we're wagering on, chat, let us know. I'm going to read some of these over the course of the show. The best submission is going to be what it is that we're wagering on.
Is this like, I don't know. I'm not positive.
This is important. Caps lock. How do you guys readjust lineups with Cruncher after lock? Late swap optimizer. It's really easy to use. If you go to DraftKings, go to where your entries are, click download, right? There's going to be on the left side of the page, it says download entries. And then you're going to go into Fantasy Cruncher, see where it says late swap optimizer. It's like top middle of the screen. You click late swap optimizer, you upload the CSV, and then you click swap optimize. Then you export that CSV, you upload it back to DraftKings. It's kind of complicated to just hear via like just over the words and not seeing a visual of it. Message me on Twitter and I'll walk you through it. I'll do it step by step. Or if that helped you solve, like, I don't know a better way to explain it with words. Those are the steps, step by step.
Oh, I'm Greg. I'm so helpful. I'm so selfless. Look at me go.
Eric's tears.
I'm so sorry.
Look how upset Eric gets about me helping people.
How dare you
to get upset about helping people?
Greta Thunberg, how dare you? Is it good? Delicious? As good as it gets?
So salty.
Eric, did you still get to Mitchell Robinson or should I swap off? I still have Mitchell Robinson. Not as much because there's another piece of guard value that I want to get to. And I'm getting to a lot of Anthony Davis and Joel Embiid, but I'm still getting to him.
There are all different kinds of submissions here. One pack of 1987 top.
Valentina Shevchenko. Oh, that's not a submission. Fucking joke.
Two nice loser tattoos, a picture of EMAC on their neck. Maybe a little much for an wager.
Yeah. I'm not here for like blood. I'm here to just make Greg look like an idiot, which he does by himself, but I thought I'd help.
Greg will actually have to drink Eric's real tears. Eric, you have to get a vasectomy.
Would be good for what's good for the show is good for the world. That'd probably be true.
Here's the thing about this. Number one, these are Eric's actual tears. The other part about it also, Eric sends them to me in the mail after I make him cry on shows. But the other thing too is it would be fair because Eric, if I'm not mistaken, is making his dog get a vasectomy next week.
I am. Yeah, 2 weeks now. We pushed it back a week.
All right.
Yep. 2 weeks from Monday or from yesterday. He's going in. Snip, snip, mother truckers. Snip, snip.
Only fair that you're willing to do it with him.
Yeah, I don't think that's how it works, but I like what you're thinking, but no.
Mincash Merchant says lip tat, which is not going to be this one. Josh never paid up on that.
Yeah, well, they didn't allow it. They don't like what every tattoo parlor they went to in Chicago said, we will not do that for you.
Probably because
he did try to do it.
Yeah, but I'm sure he Googled, it was prearranged. I'm sure he Googled which tattoo parlors don't allow lip tattoos. True. He's like, hey, how about this one on, whatever street that he would just randomly pick. That's how he did it.
Yeah, he called ahead of time. Like, it's not that hard to pick up a cell phone and be like, hey, I'll give you $10 when I walk in. Just don't let me get this tattoo. And then just leave.
Vasectomy at a tattoo parlor. I'm sure that those tools they have could serve multiple purposes.
They could. I don't think they're supposed to.
Big Dream $. General thoughts on Zhang from OKC. No reason to play him today.
0.
Absolutely no reason.
If you don't like the value in your lineup, you have a bad lineup.
So that's we've gotten a lot of questions before. I can't remember. Somebody left us a super chat about a guard who was like it was a really free. Oh no, this is one thing. Daniel Gafford before. Somebody left us a question about Daniel Gafford, right? And Gafford, if you're just going points per dollar, Gafford's not a terrible play today. The issue is that there are so many other players that are considerably better. And that's the thing too. Jang, like there's no reason to dive as deep as Jang for this slate.
Correct. That is correct.
My
Spanish Armada.
My filler arc, best forward under 6K, already have THT. 6K isn't, THT isn't under 6K though.
THT. Hey.
He's also not under 6K, so he wouldn't.
He's not, so those are lies. Good talk. Oh, we got Kevon Looney in. Are we pulling the trigger? Are we going to get some unders?
Let's see if they're up. Well, let's go. I'll go check right now. For
my
my filler arcs question, that for me, I mean, it's RJ Barrett. It's a lot of extra salary, but to me, he's the answer. Who do you have projected the best under 6K at forward?
Best value under 6K at forward.
No, just most fantasy points under 6K.
Oh, most fantasy points. I have projected Cameron Johnson on DK. And I have like next to none of him. I have 7%.
Barrett for me.
Yeah, I like Barrett too, but is he not under 7K, is he?
Under 6K.
Oh, under 6K. Sorry.
Wait.
Sorry, under 6K. Got it.
You didn't answer Barrett because you thought that he wasn't under.
No, that's not what I meant. No. I simply hadn't scrolled down far enough. I went to the 6K and just assumed it'd be somebody there. RJ Barrett is the answer, 5,300. Yes.
We are on the same page then. The next, let's see.
Did you get to any Lauri Markkanen?
No, there's too many other guys to play.
I know. It's really aggravating because now everything that I was saying earlier where it's like stars and scrub, because I have Chris Dunn and I do not think he's going to be popular. I am playing Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, and Luka Doncic like the last chopper, out of Nam. Like just, I have an unbelievable, I am reckless abandon getting out of there.
Loser shaves head bald and donates hair.
Nope.
That would have been, I just don't have very much hair right now.
Yeah, see, that's not fair. You're basically saying Eric's going to lose. We would like to make fun of him.
Related from Dan French. Greg has to go back to the last person who cut his hair. We're not looking for torture. We're not looking for torture as we're like, there has to be a line to the bet.
Man must have a code.
Dinner with Gary Coleman. He's dead.
Absurd. I got to 25% marketing. Cool, Pete Warner. Good for you. I got to 12, so I just forced it. He wasn't going to show up. Oh, nope. There we go. Just reran it. He's at 7%. There we are. This is just aggravating to me how many good plays there are.
Let's go look at Prize Picks. They are the sponsor of the show today. We haven't really had the opportunity to look at them. It was a crazy slate with so much news that ended up coming in. If you guys haven't done it yet, do us a favor by liking the video and subscribing to the YouTube channel. But also, if you haven't signed up at Prize Picks, a couple reasons to do it using the link we have below. It is going to give you up to $100 bonus on your first deposit and 1 free month of Stochastic Plus Platinum. But let's try to build out some cards here, Eric. Have you built out parlay cards over on Prize Picks today?
Tons of them, yes.
Oh, tons and tons.
Tons to tons. And also, they have the taco right now going. Nathan McKinnon over 3.5 shots on goal. I don't know if anybody is familiar, but Odd Chopper, our projections when it comes to shot on goals are just absurd. I know you've been posting a lot on Twitter for that because they're so good. He is truly already projected at 4.5 as one of the best bets on the hockey board today. 4% expected ROI, 58% expected win percentage is what we care about the most over at Prize Picks. That expected win percentage number, it's one of the better plays you can play, period, at a book, -125 at DraftKings. So on Prize Picks, getting this taco, people talk about, they're trying to talk me into whatever. Nathan McKinnon, more 3.5 shots on goal is a slam dunk.
Some more mentions in Discord for us right now. Richie G saying, loser has to eat a Dorito 1-chip challenge. Once again, nothing that could potentially kill me.
Yeah. Greg can't eat food. You guys don't understand.
I'm not, which also that fun. So my doctor told me that I need to gain weight. And I told that to my mom. My mom came over my house yesterday. And here's what we did. I smoked weed and my mom made so much food once she found out my doctor said that I had to smoke weed. This was our family plan for yesterday. She's coming back again. We're running it back tonight and she's making me vegan mac and cheese. This is my life now because my mom found out the doctor said I need to gain weight. She's going to come over every night and cook me food. And then I smoke weed and just eat as much of it as I can.
I stepped on a scale the other day and it had a 2 in front of it for the first time in my life. I immediately stopped eating. Like I didn't eat the rest of the day. I was like, oh God, like it's really in your head about certain things. What a good problem to have, Greg Ehrenberg. What a good problem to have. But also, again, I'm going to give you a free pass on this one. Get lit, get litty, kick it with your mommy. Mommy, can I have some more mac and cheese, please?
Absolutely. Please? Chop up like, what are we doing here, lady? Chop up some hot dogs in there. They're just going to be yelling at her the whole
Ma,
time.
you fucked it up.
She came over, she made 4 chicken breasts, she made 8 hamburgers, and then she was making salads. Like it was not so possible to consume all at once.
It's lovely. Scuba must be proud.
Super chat here from Mr. CoolCam97. Do you like squeezing Embiid and AD in the same lineup? I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah. Julian Forletta, thought you were like 140 pounds. Everybody thinks I'm like 5'5", 140 pounds. I'm legitimately 6'2", 200. There you go.
Eric's big. We played some basketball together when we were at the company retreat we did over the summer.
It's fun times.
And he's very competitive.
No, I'm pretty chill.
Have you gotten over that Jake beat you in basketball yet?
No, and I literally paid him $200. Lost.
Opposite
I will
XO,
bet on anything.
Probably, I think most of us would. Opposite XO, Jalen McDaniels or Aaron Wiggins, neither. McDaniels has to be one. I know Wiggins is starting.
Neither.
The starting lineups are so difficult to put any weight into for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, Tobias Harris. That's the whole thing. Like 2 assists for Chris Middleton out of the gate.
Vince 1979 Gator, Jaden McDaniels, not for me.
Nope. Nah, 0%. 0. Again, the big, huge difference here, people. Tobias Harris is playing basketball tonight. Yesterday, Tobias Harris did not play basketball. His position matters more for Jaden McDaniels than James Harden. I get that they can slide Melton over to the 2. He's going to probably get some run. But if he's not in that starting lineup, which I do not expect him to be in that starting lineup because we already got that starting lineup, but it's not in the starting lineup, you should have 0% of him on a day like today where the value is slam dunk.
And the other question we have here, where'd it go? Oh, here. New tab wants to know Melton over Quickly. I have to go with Quickly.
Quickly for sure. Quickly over everybody. He's my favorite piece of value. I think he's most people's on DraftKings. FanDuel, different conversation.
Yeah. It was, I'm fairly, if you're going 1v1 there, it has to be a DK question.
Yeah, true.
Has to. But let's get back to some of the prize pick stuff. And sorry, I cut you off before, but we were getting some questions.
It's okay. I cut you off all the time, but it's also, I think, necessary because, well, people need to hear me. It's fine. Chris Middleton, 3 assists and a rebound. Score the ball. That'd be cool too. Mix that in a little bit.
So while we're on this, though, while we have prize picks up, Jordan, can you search in Kevon Looney?
Oh, yeah. Please show up.
Ooh, we got some Looney.
He's available. 23.5 fantasy score over on, well, there's a lot of things. I would say, I mean, any of them are good if we're just projecting him to not play, but 23.5 fantasy score has to be the best, right?
10 rebounds for me.
Oh, that is a shit ton of rebounds.
Yeah, I go 10 rebounds and take the under.
We haven't projected 23 minutes, 23 DK points. Again, it's FanDuel scoring for prize picks, but just to get an idea of it. Yeah, I'm with you. 10 rebounds. That's a lot of rebounds. Let's go to 0 there. There we are.
What else? Let's look at some of the tools we have over at Stochastic.
Yeah. So one of the crazier things, and again, going to Stochastic, going to NBA Bet Pro, because again, that is the gold standard when it comes to projection-based modeling. We have Alex Baker, he's unbelievable with this stuff. We've got a bunch of other genius dudes doing great work behind the scenes, putting everything together. Prize picks, we had some of the unders projecting out well. I had Jordan Clarkson and Walker Kessler not playing earlier. We got the Kessler news pretty early. So I'm glad that I stuck as far away from that as humanly possible. But looking at the board now, I think the Mitchell Robinson under 11.5, I like Mitchell Robinson for DFS, so I'm maybe gearing away from having that be a part of the card. And now SGA, the minutes are pretty secure there as well. But DeAnthony Melton, 4 rebounds. That was a slam dunk yesterday. He got in major foul trouble. And no James Harden. I think he's the one who is unaffected by anything going on there. I loved that play yesterday. Ended up coming to fruition. He hit it just barely, but it was on every single one of my prize picks cards. He hit 5 or 6, I think it was. 4 rebounds is just another slam dunk spot.
Middleton on fire. People are pretty excited about that. Yeah, I mean, I like Melton for pretty much everything. This feels
Mo
like
Wagner 7-1. Just bury me alive.
God, good time to pull out.
Kaminga starting.
By the way, submit this right now. Jordan, just submit it. Looney is not starting.
Submit.
Just submit it. Looney isn't starting. Well, if you want to. If you don't want to actually put your own money on this, you don't have to.
Do it, and I'll pay you back. I don't care. Jordan, just do it. Do it. If he dies, he dies.
Looney's going.
So McKinnon, but just get your taco together. Not Nathan McKinnon over 3.5 shots on goal. Kevon Looney 10 rebounds less, and DeAnthony Melton more 4 rebounds. Go. Do you
think I'm
right? Oh
my
God, Mo Wagner for 3. What is happening? Mo
Do you think
Wagner
I'm
is
right
10
about
and
this?
1.
Is this going to be like one of these games Looney plays like 5 minutes?
Yeah, totally is.
There's no reason for him to not start in this spot, right?
Right.
By the way, FanDuel still does not have unders available for Looney. They only let you bet unders. I mean, they only let bet overs, no unders.
Prize picks, we like them. We like them very much here.
Yeah, just looking through. I'm
I'm
saying
under. I'm like at the field. Mo Wagner ended up pretty low, like lower.
The only
than I
place
thought.
you could bet unders on Looney right now is Prize Picks.
Correct.
The only place. Nobody else is allowing you to bet
less
unders
10 rebounds. Click the damn button. Jordan Klein, go. Just hit that.
You don't have to bully him there, Eric.
Go. $25. Put 25 in. No, power play always. Unless you're doing the 5 flex, which the expected ROI is actually higher than the 4 power play, the 10x on it, because you get enough scenarios where you get 4 of 5 right, and you still get 2x your money, still double it up. Because of that extra feasibility, that's what you want. Good job, Jordan Klein. Very proud of you. Marvin Bagley sucks, so that's cool. He's still terrible at his existence. Also, did you get any of your friend Dylan Brooks on DK? Because he, I think, is a great play.
I'm checking right now because I don't actually know.
Yeah, I totally get it.
Less than 10%.
Okay, never mind. Good talk.
But I have exposure to him. The other thing, too, so we have this starting lineup for the Warriors. Now that we know it's Curry, DiVincenzo, Thompson, Kuminga, Draymond, is there anybody you want to get to from Golden State?
I thought about Kuminga, but I mean, it's not exactly cost prohibitive at 4,600. He did play, 29, 32 minutes. He's been serviceable. I bet I get to a little bit when I rerun stuff, but I doubt he's any kind of a priority. Plus, I've already used a lot of those lineup spots. I got to compare Kuminga now to Tari Eason, who I was over the field on. Let's see.
Would I rather play
James Wiseman? Good start.
I think I'd rather play. No, I'd still rather play Eason than Kuminga. How about you?
You'd rather play Eason than Kuminga. Yeah, I think I probably would too. But what's Kuminga's ownership? Like Eason's still going to be like 5-6% based on like how many slates he's just shown up for stuff. I think the guy who's really interesting for tournaments, Dante DiVincenzo, 5,400. You have Curry, Poole, Thompson, Green. And then wasn't DiVincenzo the other guy that was starting there? Yeah. I think that's pretty fascinating. Again, I thought DiVincenzo would be coming off the bench. With him starting, I've got him at 34 minutes, and that's pretty interesting.
I mean, he's been starting for about a month now, so it doesn't change anything.
Well, thank you. But I'm just saying that I thought you said Looney was going to start. Who is he going to start over with Curry, Thompson, and Poole? Like, it's Poole specifically being thrust in. But he's not even starting. It's DiVincenzo, Thompson, Curry.
No, it's Kuminga moving into the starting line.
Correct. That's my brain was just frazzled looking at it. Yeah, I like Tari Eason more than Kuminga still.
Yeah, that's where I'm at as well. I might get
too many. There's just more bodies there now in Golden State. Like, unless Looney just plays 0 minutes, that'd be wild.
I think he plays like 5.
So stupid.
But that's what they do. They keep this streak alive. So when they have spots they would be resting him, it happens like a couple times a year. That's what I think is going to happen. I think we see like 5 minutes out of Kevon Looney.
People wanting Marvin Bagley's head. Totally get it. Totally makes sense to me.
Let's see. I'm going to rerun lineups. Let's see if I get to any of Kuminga now.
Mo Wagner is God. 12-3. Like, go ahead and close your laptop. I'm drawing to FanDuel where I have 100% now because on DK, I am under the field actually. So that is. Just go ahead and grab your lawn chair, go outside, enjoy the fresh air. Just anything that isn't NBA DFS if you don't have Mo Wagner.
We haven't figured out the parameters for our wager yet.
Figure it out. Chris Dunn is not going to be popular.
But neither is Jaden Ivey. Like, we already know that for sure.
What is Jaden Ivey's ownership?
I believe Ivey was like 15%. So it's like whether Chris
Dunn $15 on DK. That's the parameter.
Yeah. So let me pull this back up.
There's just too many guards. Quickly is going to be the highest owned guard on the slate.
Mhm.
We both agree on that, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Tyus Jones second.
Tyus Jones second. So that's a lot going towards guard. We already had Corey Joseph lock. We already had Jaden Ivey lock. We already have, we know Desmond Bane because of positionality, he'll still be pretty popular. I guess he wasn't in that top 5 plus Luka. I think Luka is honestly the fade. Like, as far as like who I'm the most nervous, gets close to 5% of Chris Dunn.
No, I think it's Ivy.
What's Ivy at? Ivy wasn't one of our top 5 projected. I said top 5 projected guards.
No, Ivy at the time. We're gonna have to rewind this
quickly. Tyrese Maxey, Javon Carter, Desmond Bane, plus Luka Doncic.
But at the time we did it, it was Ivy and Maxey wasn't one of the guys. I remember, Jordan, we're gonna have to go back to the tape. Was Ivy or was Ivy not amongst the names?
I think I was listing off all the names, but then the caveat when we made the official bet was the top 5 plus Luka. I gave you the top 5 projected guards plus Luka, that Chris Dunn would be less than 5% with it, or it would be more than 5% difference between the lowest owned of those grouping.
But at that point in time, Maxey was not one of the 5 most popular.
Yeah, he was. When we updated it, when we were talking about it, yeah, he was.
We'll have to go back and we'll have to re-listen to the tape when we were.
I do not want to re-listen to Jack squat. We said we'll idiots.
I'm going to win this. I'm positive that Jaden Ivey was included. Let's see.
Javon Carter still exists. That's good to know.
We've got a sample size of 1 right now, but Brandon Tessmer says Greg is right, Eric is wrong.
That's usually how it works in everybody's mind.
Too nice. Eric is wrong.
And that's the chalk. Like
Richie G. Eric definitely said Ivy. So the top 5 were Ivy, Tyus, Quickly, Bane, Maxey, and we added Luka in as a 6th, he says.
Guess we'll find out. Well, this is good to know that apparently you're now throwing somebody into the middle before we came out with the parameters of the wager. That's kind of some run good for me. That's some run good.
But you specifically said Ivy.
Oh, I don't remember saying Ivy, but I thought Ivy would still be higher than 15% owned regardless. So,
and for what it's worth, we have Chris Dunn projected for 12.5% ownership.
Well, shit.
It's going to be close.
Hold on to your butts.
Watch Chris Dunn just come in so popular that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no kidding. It is in play. I am not playing 100% Chris Dunn anymore. That was probably the best move, period.
Question in our Discord from Vince1979 Gator: Harton Quickly or Eason and Robinson? Harton Quickly.
Yeah, Quickly is just jam session.
Within reason, any 1v1 or 2v2 that has Quickly on one side, it's going to be Quickly.
Correct.
The answer, unless you're just being like, do I play Quickly or do I play Luka Doncic and Prime Wilt Chamberlain today? Like, the answer is going to be Quickly in any reasonable 1v1.
Correct.
What are some of the other questions that we have here? We need to get this settled. We need to figure out what the parameters of the wager are.
You tell me, boss man. You tell me.
What if we did something based around Rainmakers?
I like it. Let's see. Did you get your packs today?
I've got packs. I haven't opened them.
I opened mine already because obviously I did. I got one good thing. I got the plus 360 fighter UFC today. What's his face?
Minus, you mean?
Minus 360, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say you got a plus 360.
Sorry, that's not what I was going for. I'm talking out of my a-hole while I'm trying to bring up his name. It's wild because now I have PGA Tour on there too. It's so fun. But I got Ricardo Ramos Elite number 11. That's going to be a nice one. Nice. It's going to be a nice addition.
we've only got a couple minutes left here, but I've had a legendary Alexander Romanov for a very long time now.
Ooh, you're ready to go.
I think this is a very good matchup for him. So I'm going to have to play this card for sure, but we'll have to, maybe there's one of us buys a pack for the other next week. pay-per-view card next week. Usman versus Leon Edwards 3.
Oh yeah, that's going to be amazing. Deal. Lose
okay.
And
so the loser will Venmo the other one $35 to pay for a pack next week.
Booked.
There we go. Good deal. All right, we've got to
I like
figure
it.
it out.
James Wiseman, the GPP Bink session commenced. I'm just holding on to my Macy Barber Rainmaker. That is going to be 3 weeks that fight is? 3 weeks for Macy Barber, the future Macy Barber. Let's go.
When does Macy Barber fight? Macy Barber next fight.
She's fighting Allison Lee. Is that who it was?
She's fighting. What is this information? She's fighting. I don't know. I can't find her right here.
She's Andrea Lee is who she's fighting. Yeah, March 25th, women flyweight. Macy Barber. She's going to be a huge favorite. I'm excited for that.
I think she might be an underdog in that fight. Sorry,
no way. She's 24, facing the 34-year-old, 11-2. She's wiped the floor clean the last few. They're fighting before Vera Sandhagen. Maybe not. We'll see.
It'll be a relatively tight line. It'll be relatively tight. By the way, some quick results here before we sign off. We've got Brooke Lopez off to a big start, but not as big as our guy, Chris Middleton. 7 points, 2 boards, 3 assists for him. Mo Wagner is up to 12 points and 3 boards in the first quarter. In the Wizards-Pistons game, Porzingis is 8 points and 2 boards. On the other side of the game, James Wiseman, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal. All of the fantasy points that a lot of people thought Marvin Bagley were going to score, they're going to James Wiseman right now. If you guys have not done yet, do us a favor. Like the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Good luck with all your lineups tonight. Going to be back here tomorrow. Check us out. Have a good night, everybody.